I'd like to welcome everyone to tonight's meeting. We've got a very busy agenda for this evening, so I apologize, everyone, but there's a lot of things that need to be tied up. For Chairman's remarks, this is the first meeting of the new year, and I'd like to wish everyone the very best of everything in the new year with much health, happiness, and love. So, Happy New Year to all of you. I'll take a motion for approval of minutes for the December 10th meeting.
Okay. So moved.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes of the December 10th Select Board meeting. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I'll take a motion for the minutes of December 17th meeting. It seems so long ago, doesn't it?
It does.
I move that we accept them.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to accept the minutes of December 17th meeting. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, we're going to start with Mr. Renaud.
Yes.
Why don't you all come up? We're very informal here. We like to have everybody feel comfortable, so come on up.
I'm Charlie.
Hi, Charlie.
Obviously, everybody knows Mike.
Right.
I
Have a
just
seat.
wanted to come and
Pete, you want to come up too? You can just pull your chair up to the end there.
no, wait. Maybe give you guys a heads up that we're looking to put an addition on the metal fabrication shop.
Okay.
I think a plan review sheet was sent here to the select board already. There's some approvals that have to come with that, with the municipality, with the town, the fire, and all that. These are just the plans, very preliminary site plan of what we're planning on doing. And out of the Act 250 short form, there's a municipality impact sheet and that's essentially why I came tonight, is to see if we could get that started.
Does anybody have any questions on the project?
Well, what type of impact are we talking? I mean, you're just building an extension, am I
Right,
correct?
it's just an addition, so essentially there is no impact from what I see.
I mean, there's no noise, only while you're building, and the building's not in a flood zone or anything like, or in a wetland or anything like that, am I correct?
It is in the,
It's a flood zone, I think
flood
it's
zone, yes.
on there.
It is on
It's on
there.
this map, but it's...
I mean, we're not going to do anything different than what we're doing right now. Just the activities that we're doing them outdoors, and we're just wanting to put them undercover. Basically what it is we have our little fab shop out back there, and we're carrying on all the steel by hand and everything. And so what we're hoping to do is this area here is going to be all the metal storage, which is all just kind of out back here, and there's going to be an overhead crane there, and then we'll bring the metal in through the shop here, and we'll do our rough cutting here. Right now we're just doing it outside with torches and saws and everything, and it's really not a problem in the summertime, but in the wintertime it's kind of hectic. So originally, we started out, we were just going to put the overhead crane out there, and so we put the post in there, and then somebody said, well, geez, maybe we'll want to enclose it someday. And so the project started growing, and they said, well, we've got to see if we need a permit and stuff before we get going too far. And
you did.
So I checked with Labor and Industry, and they were all fine with it, and we just wanted to kind of come down and talk to you folks if somebody was driving by and says to the selectmen, hey, what are them guys doing out back there? So we just kind of wanted to fill you in on the project.
With your permit, do you have to, you don't have to notify like the police, or because you're not you know,
Well, I mean, we should notify the,
It's
it says we're
yeah.
supposed to notify the fire department, you know, see
Yeah.
if they have any concerns. Probably the road commissioner, see if he has any concerns. So we're just pretty much starting the process.
and the planning commission, you've been to the planning commission, or?
Nothing was required to go.
I wouldn't think it would be, but I just, because it's a business, I'm just
yeah.
wondering.
Yeah, we kind of talked about going to the planning commission. We said, well, but maybe we should just tell the selectmen. And not that I have any problem with going to the planning commission.
Yeah, I don't know if it's required.
It's not really required. And I wasn't even sure coming to selectmen was required, but we just kind of
I don't think it is, to be
This is
honest.
the third amendment.
It's a courtesy,
To
yeah.
the same Act 250, so essentially it's going through the same process that we've already gone through, and they, you know, the same sign-offs, really, is what it boils down to.
We don't want to waste your time either, but
Yeah.
it's
No.
good to know.
No,
Yeah,
I
it's fine.
appreciate that. you
Absolutely.
came here.
Yeah,
Thank
Try
you.
to be good neighbors, you know.
There you go.
I'll make a motion that we sign the Act 250 municipal impact question.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to sign the municipal impact questionnaire. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
It's hard to get used to writing 13.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Is there anything else we can do for you?
Not today.
That was painless, wasn't it?
That's right. Same way, if we can do something for you folks, you'll let us know.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, Chris Camp is not going to be here today because he had emailed me and asked me if he was on the agenda, and I goofed up and said no, he wasn't, even though he was. But we did this, you know, we put these notes in for the agenda 3 weeks ago, so I had forgotten. And I figured I did, you know, have time to, I did actually email him back this afternoon, but I figured we have so much on the agenda today. He's really just kind of coming for a heads up kind of thing, and I just thought that maybe a better, you know, another time is better for that because we really have a plate full today, so. Okay, and Bob Spencer's not here yet,
Neither is Mike Cortland.
and neither is Mike Cortland, and neither is, geez, there's nobody else here that we can take anything up. Town clerk's here.
Yeah, I was going to say we could talk about that. I move that we move to that.
It's been moved and seconded to move to the town clerk's testimony. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
You're on.
All right. Since I was audited pretty thoroughly last year, I don't know if we need to do an outside audit, but if we do need to do an outside audit of my office, I'd like to have it done before I get to leave here on March 1st or since.
Well, you know, I'm going to question that because I think that it should be done after you leave so that the new person that starts can start new. Do you know what I mean? Right from the word get-go. But, I mean, huh?
That's why I thought before I left, they would start.
Well, how about, yeah.
See,
I
I'm
don't
thinking
know.
before she leaves also because there's going to be questions and things.
Yeah,
that
exactly
the
right, that
auditor's
she's gonna have
need
to
that
have.
She has access to.
I'm
that
trying to
everyone
think.
else does.
I know we have to because it's every 3 years or when that office, your office or town clerk's office or auditor's office, whoever changes, that's when it's got to be. But being that you're not going to be here, I think that's a good thing that you are here because how can anybody help them if they don't know? But I was thinking, wouldn't it be better afterwards? You know what I mean? After you leave, because then it starts the new one off right from day one. But that don't make no sense. Now that I think about it, say it
How
aloud.
about just before then?
Yeah, maybe just.
Let me ask you, you did have a pretty extensive audit done last year. What, have you talked to Vermont League of Cities and Towns about having to have, because it is in statute, but I don't know what the time frame is, and I think where the audit really was done this year, you might be in the time frame.
Okay.
When did you have an audit? I don't remember an audit for your office. I do remember.
Very thorough last year.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Who did it?
The Attorney General's office.
Oh, I didn't know that. I'm sorry.
No, I came
At
up with
that time,
good.
I did. Oh, well, that's hey.
Maybe
Thank the
good.
Lord for that.
Right.
But and we all knew that anyway, Sandy. But I'm just, I didn't realize that, so I didn't know. So that's good.
Okay.
Yeah, you
What
know,
about the money? Didn't we were going to have an audit of the whole town office at some point,
$35,000.
Yeah, we have
it
35.
was-
That's
yeah.
and we never did it.
Sally, let's remember to ask Sally about it, because she mentioned it to me the other day.
And I mentioned it the last select board meeting, but Sally said not right now because she's right in the middle of a school audit or something, and that would be kind of a lot for her on her plate at the time. So, I mean, yeah, I think that if we could incorporate, because we wouldn't have to do so much
Right.
with you, maybe that would
She
be,
didn't want to do this till, she's looking at.
Do the whole thing and be done with it.
do the whole thing and be done with it. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, let's talk to Sally about it when she
Yeah.
gets here. Okay, we're going to go back to Bob Spencer and Mike Quartermunch. Welcome, gentlemen.
Oh,
Come on up.
great. Was Chris Campany on it?
He's not going to be here
Oh.
tonight.
Okay, didn't realize that.
Well, that was my goof up.
No, that's okay. We cut it close.
Now, do you want to come up?
Oh,
I don't know why
You're part of this, Peter.
I don't know why I said it, Peter, when the other ones were here. I'm having a tough evening.
I'm into buildings too.
Well, I'm here following up on our December 7th December 3rd meeting, and I brought a memo to the board, one copy, but I can email to everyone. And when we met on the 3rd, the charge was help us figure out how we can save some money on trash and recycling. And Peter and Norm from Triple T were with us, and they had some ideas. And so since then, we've spent a fair amount of time looking at options, and that's what I've outlined here.
Okay. And I
Mike,
do have that.
Mike, as you know, is the supervisor to Vernon. I'm still listed as a supervisor, but I really can't be, I guess, if I'm on the staff. Maybe Sandy would know if that's true or not.
I don't know if that's true or not.
Some people might could. What I've said to Mike is I'd be glad to stay on it if there's issues, if I'm there, that need a vote or something that have income.
Do you have it, Patty?
I don't have that one.
Oh, then you can have the one back when Bobby's
Oh,
done.
Okay, is it? No.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
I haven't looked into it. I just let it go.
Yeah.
But anyhow, Mike, I keep him informed on, and he and I were involved when we set up the organic dumpster back 3 years ago, and then he was on your board. I don't know how much time you want to spend on this, but I could just walk you through what I've put together here. First of all, we know that the town spends about $135,000 a year for the contract with Triple T for weekly curbside collection of our trash. They collected 825 residences, and that's about 855 tons of trash. And we pay $100 per ton, plus the collection.
That's
Annually.
825 residences and 800.
That's right.
tons.
855 tons. And Peter crunched these numbers.
Boy, when you actually put those numbers down on paper, we really use an awful lot of trash in Vernon, don't we?
Yes.
Peter said, come down to the transfer station someday and watch a load come in. And you
Transfer
just go,
station?
well,
Drive around town.
Well, yeah.
You know, we were talking about that. Sometimes you drive around and there are barrel after barrel after barrel down at people's houses, which Mike has been screaming about for years.
that I have. So, the voluntary recycling program we have here, the town does pretty well, about a 15% recycling rate. I have the numbers in here, but it's about 150 tons a year. So out of 1,000 total tons, the 855 plus the 150, that's just about 1,000 tons. At 150 tons of recycling, that's 15%. The math's in here. We also have a small dumpster for organics, which is amazing. We fill it up almost every week, and it's costs quite a bit less than $100 per ton. But it's kind of a demonstration that we can do that if people decide they want to.
Bob, do you have any, you might answer it later on, but do you have any estimate or guess or whatever, for the 855 tons annually that we produce in town, what percent, how many tons actually should be recycled?
Peter's very good at those numbers.
Well, if a town's recycling with some gusto, you could get to 30% relatively easily. Brattleboro's right now, after a year campaign of education and enforcement, is coming in around 33%. So that's another 150 tons in real numbers.
And I projected that. I said if that was our goal to get to 30%, each 15% saves the town, coincidentally, about $15,000 in just tipping fees. So we could, so let's say we save $15,000 right now from the 150 tons of recycling. It's kind of a nice number, $100 a ton, 150 tons, 15,000. Even I can do that. So the challenge is, how do we get to the next level? And Wyndham Solid Waste, and when I was on the board for Vernon, I stayed on it pretty good, and Mike too, with the recycling coordinator, to get flyers and put them in the town newsletter, and we do that, and everyone gets it. And we send things home with the school kids, but for whatever reason, we're just kind of stuck at 15%, and that's pretty standard around the state, which is why the legislature said we got to do something more than just gently prodding in education, and they passed Act 148 last summer, which now will make recycling mandatory for all towns and businesses starting next year. So I also put in here that the town of Vernon, as a member of Wyndham Solid Waste, pays about $26,000 a year in their annual assessment. And they went up 5% this year because the commodity prices for recyclables are down. But as the markets go up, the district funds its operations through sale of the commodities. So my goal and the goal of the board is to make that as little of an assessment as possible. And we think Act 148 may really get us closer. So there'd be another area we might save. So let's just say we got a goal of 300 tons per year. We could save another 15,000. So then, Patty and the crew last week, December, asked Norma, Peter, well, what about curbside recycling? Brattleboro has curbside recycling. Westminster does, and no, they don't have curbside. There's only 3 towns that have curbside. Mike had this right in the paper, thank you. And curbside trash, Westminster and Brattleboro and Vernon.
Well, that's a switch.
And only Brattleboro has curbside recycling in the district towns. So it's basically a wash, probably, to add another truck and go around and collect recyclables, right, Peter?
It's not a wash, actually. The
It's
town
going to cost more.
would need to kick in some more, but it would offset 70% or 80% of the cost, the savings in the tipping fee. So, but there is a convenience, obviously, if it's a town we need to weigh for its citizens.
We didn't talk about this, but I thought about some towns have every other week recycling, too.
Correct.
So that would be less expenditure on.
Wait a minute, I'm sorry, back up on that one. So they pick up trash one week, recycling the next, or they just
Or
pick
do
up recycling every other week?
recycling every other week. Because people can usually hang on to the stuff long enough.
Right, you could split the town in half, one A and a B week. So half the town puts it out one week, and the opposite the other week.
And Brattleboro's
actually still is to this day, still an A and B week. They're going to actually transition the other way. way, we're gonna bring them to weekly recycling in the spring. That's because we have a pilot program that's gonna be becoming a full-fledged organics collection. So we're gonna pick up compostable organics waste and the recycling all in one pass
Every week.
every week. And it's, of course,
But we did not look into that option here, because kind of we got to walk before we run, I think.
But if we went to recycling every other week, would that save money over, I mean, if you're doing half the town one week and half the town
It's
next week, I
like-
don't
It's all
see
truck
it
hours
saves.
is what it is. It's kind of it's a double-edged sword. You have folks hold recyclables, 2 weeks' worth of recyclables. The quantity that they're going to set out, of course, increases. So our time at each stop increases, and thus, so compounding that out, 425 stops a week, an extra 20 seconds, you've got an extra 30, so there is savings, absolutely. I mean, it still doesn't get you to that nirvana of we're going to add that truck and service and not have any extra increase with the savings of the tipping fee.
So curbside recycling is an option, but it doesn't appear to be a way of reducing the town's costs. And that was what I heard loud and clear. Let's see if we can save some money. So then we looked at a transfer station where the town would say, we're out of the curbside collection. Let's go like Hinsdale and Northfield and quite a few towns, Whitingham and Wilmington. And everyone, you buy a sticker, you come to the transfer station, and so we went, and David Walker's not here, but I met with David.
Yeah, he is.
Oh, there he is. Sorry. Oh, that's
He
right,
hides in the corner all the time. He kind of blends in with that paneling over
And
there.
I want to thank him. He spent quite a bit of time with Norm and me, and and I wanted to get this to you earlier, but I didn't get back to time today. But we basically looked at some options, and a transfer station consists of a compactor, typically a 35 or 40 cubic yard roll-up container that has a hydraulic ram to pack and densify the waste 2 or 3 times.
Depending on the commodity,
Yeah.
your density ratios, right?
So you reduce the number of times you haul that box to the disposal site, because hauling is the big cost added to on top of the trash. And you need to have typically 3-phase electric power, which we have at the highway garage. Where the recycling bins are located now, the Wyndham Solid Waste bins, there is space to put a compactor in there, a self-contained unit, and David and his crew, we all looked at it and the traffic flow, and you'd have to lay it out. But so to do that, it could cost anywhere from $40,000 to $50,000. Those numbers right here. We could probably put it out to bid and shop around and beat that number up. But still, to do it right, pour a concrete pad, run the new wiring, buy the compactor, put up a fence enclosure, an attendant shack. It's somewhere in the $40,000, $50,000 range.
Plus, it would require a full-time employee.
Typically, these are part-time hours.
Okay.
That most towns, small towns like Vernon, would only be open a couple days, 2 or 3 days a week, or an evening, or a Saturday and a Sunday. There's all sorts of hours. Like the ski towns have different hours than the regular towns, because they have a seasonal weekend. But yet, you'd have to pay an employee to operate it. The state requires that the site be fenced and secured, and there be an attendant on duty. But what happens is then when people come in, you have a mechanism to try to enforce some recycling or educate and encourage it. Is there anything else you want to say about the transfer station, Peter?
With the transfer station, though, with people that are elderly, they would have a hard time.
It's a
Excuse
change
me.
in service for sure.
Yeah.
but
Yeah,
Now
because
it's up to the
Savings
people
is
to do
being
it.
because I know
created
some people
because
drag their
a
bags
service
because they
is being
can't
put
lift
on
it.
the folks in town to bring it from point A to point B, where it's
What,
now in
what
your
happened,
house.
and I have some examples here, but what happened in Northfield when they did this is their tonnage of trash dropped quite a bit, because a lot of people said, I'm not going to the transfer station. They just hired a hauler, because you can still do that. You're not obligated to use your transfer station. So it gives people the flexibility to make their own decision. I have numbers in here on what the savings would be, but it could save over $40,000 a year on just the compared to collecting curbside trash, because you still have to haul the box.
Right.
So there's a mechanism there to save some money. One thing we also looked at is there's another location in front of the garage that David pointed out, where the fuel station is. There's a bank there that might be cut into, and you can back the compactor into there. And then Norm just came in, went down, and Mary, hi Mary.
Hi.
Went down back with David, and there's actually more space in back of the garage than we realized. I mean, there's some big piles of salt or sand, but it's possible. Norm thought you could either do one to the northern end, over toward George's Mill, that end, or to the southern end, take out some trees, widen the road. One advantage of putting out back there is you already have a gate in a secure area. And it would focus the operation out behind the garage.
How noisy an operation is it?
They're not noisy at all. The noise is the people who come down there and jabber for 2 hours. They're the most popular place for politicians to go to.
Yeah, I've heard that before. So was roll-off. We don't have that anymore.
But
It's too bad.
no transfer stations. A lot of towns have them. They love them. Hinsdale does both curbside trash collection and a transfer station, and the pay-as-you-throw. Then there's another piece of land across from the highway garage. What do you call that, David? Just
The Old Town Garage.
Yeah, the old town garage that's there. So if the town was to look into that, but there's quite a bit of site work that would have to be done. So I said here that a town study committee could be set up. Wyndham Solid Waste, Mike has offered to kind of lead it if they want, would do the analysis, but we'd like input from David and other town people about what really works, because it's got to work. I didn't put it in here, but I got thinking maybe you could talk to Guilford. Maybe there's a spot on Franklin Road the two towns could put in a common transfer station.
Because they're going to have to do something too. Well, what is
Every
Guilford
town's
do
got
now?
to do this.
It's pretty much private.
Guilford
Hire their own haulers.
they just said we're not in the business.
So then they're not going to have to do it, because the law states if you provide trash pickup, you have to provide recycling. So Guilford's not going to have to do anything because they don't provide anything.
Right. It'll
Right.
be between the people that hire the private hauler and
Right.
their
Yeah, they just put it all on the haulers and the residents. So we'd be pleased to work if the town said, let's spend some time on this transfer station idea and narrow the cost down and look at some other sites. Then the next thing we looked at is what we call pay-as-you-throw, as the law calls it, variable rate pricing, which will become mandatory in 2015. Basically, people and businesses will pay for trash based on the volume or weight of what they throw out, with recycling being free. How they're going to keep it free is not quite known at this point, but it's and this is something that's been in use thousands and thousands of communities in the country, in North America, where you basically, I'm sure some of you know, you go, you buy a bag that says Vernon, and you may get one free bag a week, and the next bag costs you $1.50.
So let's back up here, because I didn't read the bill myself. I've just kind of gone
It's
on what
only
everybody
like
else said.
800 pages.
Yeah, well, that's typical of the legislature, because they don't have anything else to do with their time. But I figured you guys were researching it, so why spend all that time reading 800 pages of
That's what we're there for. Mike's
legislation?
read all it.
So if it's going to be mandatory to go to pay-as-you-throw by 2015, why would any towns do transfer stations or a second recycling pickup anyway? Why wouldn't they just go to pay-as-you-throw?
That's a very good question. As a matter of fact, Wyndham Solid Waste, who has your recycling containers, we're saying, why do we even have to go get them? Why even have a drop-off area? Let's make it's up to the haulers.
Boy, it sounds like, I'm sure the legislature had good intentions. I would never question their intentions. But it sounds like they're really kind of setting some of these towns up for failure, because if what's going to happen to all the litter that's all over the roads because people don't want to have to pay as they throw?
Well, The litter thing hasn't really materialized in most
No.
places. In fact, Northfield, that was a concern. They've been doing this since 2006. I talked to them today, and they didn't have a problem.
The only reason why we have a concern is because when you go to the banks, they're loaded with litter. I mean, not every spot, but there are certain areas that are just loaded, like the lookout tower there.
Yeah, you
There's
go right
just
up to
tons.
Indian Point,
Yeah.
look over that fence toward the railroad tracks.
No,
It's really bad.
No dumps around, there's no doubt about that. But again, the towns would work with the sheriff's departments, and there's a way to deal with it. It doesn't mean it's going to take care of it. And I'm not recommending any of these things here. This was like, well, you said, what are our options?
Mm-hmm.
And I really don't know. As a resident of Vernon, I don't know what would work best.
Well, and you know, obviously, this is something we have to bring to the voters at town meeting.
Yeah, I was
So
gonna
that's
say.
why I wanted to kind of research it, because it's the voters that are going to pick what option that they want, not the select board.
Should we have like
Well,
a survey it?
And I got to tell you, it's very
Questionnaire or
important that you
something.
get the voters, because if you don't get them involved, you're going to set up to fail. That will set up to fail. I've seen that. You know, where you ram something down their throats.
I think if we advertise town meeting and let people know that their trash pickup is a discussion as to whether or not they're going to be able to keep it, I think people
Should
will
be
be at
lively.
town. I think people will be at town meeting, and you know, again, you know, you've said it yourself. We have no choice. This is the new law, so we have to abide by the law in some way. But I think it's really only fair that the people that are paying for the trash pickup in whatever way are the ones that vote on what.
Well, that's what carries the day. Most towns, when they pay, they say, you know, this is truly a user tax. You generate a lot of stuff, you pay for it.
Is there a question?
Sure.
Good.
What do you think of the idea of maybe at town meeting have like a questionnaire for people to, or a survey sort of thing, you know, with these options on here, and have people fill them out and then just drop them off at, you know, the town clerk station on the way out into a box or something, and maybe we could go over that. Or, I mean, is that a doable thing, or is that too much
What
to
if
ask
you
for?
were to do it beforehand as a mail item?
Right.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking.
Then
Yeah, that might be good. Get a feeling
Feel on
of
it.
where the town's going with this, and then have the discussion be more about how you do whichever is the preferred option.
And try to explain to people that this is the new law.
There needs to be an educational component to it.
Yeah.
And we
Maybe
can,
Yes.
we can hold a forum.
we can do that. The district can help you organize that, and, you know, facilitate it, and make a presentation, invite Hinsdale in. You know, there's some really good other town clerks and town administrators that deal with these and are very knowledgeable. Jill over at Hinsdale, you know, knows this inside out. That's who you work with.
Jill.
So, just so you know, Northfield, they increased their tonnage by 20% just by going to pay-as-you-throw.
So pay as you throw, if it's something recycled and you recycle it, you pay nothing.
That's right.
And anything that goes in the bag, you pay for. Well, you pay for the bag.
Excuse
So
me,
that-
that's on the tax base, it's not really free.
I'm saying,
He's off the hook here, and I don't think that's right.
I'm just talking individual person.
Yeah.
You know, I'm talking about how each individual resident is going to handle this new law, because that's who's going to handle it. It's not the select
The
board.
town, well, that's my last option, private haulers. The town can wash their hands of trash and just say, look in the yellow pages, call Triple T. But we have quite a few hauling families in this part of the
In this town.
In this town, so.
But I'm sorry, I know it seems free, but we as a town have to pay like Triple T to pick up the recycle and stuff like that if we don't use those bins. Am I correct? I mean, it's not
Right,
really, it's
right.
free to the people, but not really, because there's still their
But
tax dollars.
you're right. I was talking about the individual.
'cause I was
And that's
thinking-
what you were saying, is it's
Yeah.
not free, it's in the tax base. But I'm talking about
Okay.
how this law is going to affect the individual resident, because they're the ones that are going to have to come out and vote on
But,
this.
and the other thing is, no one can tell us how it will be enforced either.
Well, the other thing is people that really do not want to recycle, they do have choices. In Hinsdale, everybody that doesn't want to recycle's got dumpster in their dooryard. And so far, the state hasn't cracked down on dumpsters, so they just throw everything they want in there. They don't buy the bag. Town's free from the tipping fee because they have to pay that individually. And so anybody that doesn't want to recycle in Hinsdale has a dumpster in their dooryard, which is quite a few.
Yeah, but a dumpster is really a lot of
They're
money.
just there. They're just there.
That's expensive. They're
Yeah, I would
throwing away
think-
recyclables and they're paying for a dumpster.
Yeah.
But that would
Okay.
be mostly businesses and stuff, right?
No, there's homeowners that do it.
There's neighbors get together, there's different arrangements.
Oh, okay.
And don't forget, they are buying their bags, so if you start, breaking down the number of bags, and a couple, 2 or 3 neighbors get together, and all of a sudden it becomes cost-effective for those by their choice.
We have one in Putney that's been doing it probably for 30 years. There's 8 houses and 1 2-yard dumpster. And everybody recycles. So what does it cost them?
So it's actually cheaper for them to do the dumpster than it is to buy the bags.
Exactly.
Wow.
So there's choices. There isn't
lot of
just
money.
one side or the other.
But with the new law, the dumpster without recycling will not be technically allowed.
It's like ordering an entree.
Technically.
You get the potatoes and the vegetable with it, and recycling comes with trash, no matter, it's not a choice.
And just to follow up, because we're working with Mike Hebert on this too, Representative Mike Hebert. We have scheduled a meeting in Montpelier with the A&R staff to go over some of these hauler-specific concerns. And on January 24th, the Wyndham Solid Waste District's having a special meeting for the haulers to go over these issues. So it's a challenge. I don't know the answers.
Well, did you have something?
No, no.
Sorry.
No, please.
You know, I do think that we need to move on this. If you're willing to do a subcommittee for,
Sure.
try to get information together, maybe we can get together some kind of survey that, as Sandy said, send out in the mail, educate people a little bit so that they know what's coming, but explain to them also that this is not a choice we're making, it's the law. We have
So
to
a survey to get, kind of gauge attitudes?
Yeah.
Would the transfer station be of interest? Do you like curbside recycling? Would you be willing to pay for?
But let them know, what
Okay.
the approximate cost would be for each option. And
I would say a little synopsis of what
What
each
each
question
option is.
means,
Yeah,
you know what I
so
mean?
not just a.
Right, so it's not just a question,
That's
then they're
probably
like.
a good idea. It's a way to educate about
Right.
the options and then ask
And
feedback.
then I think if we could get that out soon, and then if we held a forum, I think we'd be more apt to get people at a forum, because now it's out in front of them. Now they know what the issue is. If you just send a paper around saying, we're going to have a forum on trash pickup, nobody's going to show up.
Right.
Well, I've got most of the work done with this.
Yeah.
memo,
Right. So it'd be just a matter of
Repackage
compiling
it.
that into a survey. And
But then we'd schedule a special meeting, just a forum?
the forum.
Could the forum be in conjunction with the budget forum that you do every year before town meeting?
Maybe get more people there?
Maybe.
Yeah, because.
We could do
this
that,
is a
but then
budget
people would
for-
show up.
If there were more
Only
than
kidding,
one,
Mike.
we'd have more people.
You also should get what's going to happen in 015, because that's part of it too.
Yeah, that's
Right,
a good idea.
that's-
Point
that's
out
a-
what the law
It's
is.
a two-sided piece there. You
And
might
put
as
our
well-
legislators' phone numbers down.
Yeah, go ahead.
So, just so I have the figures right, it costs about $1,000 a ton, and each pickup resident or whatever produces about a ton.
Yeah.
So it's a value of about $1,000 a year to each household.
Yeah.
But if you went pay-as-you-throw, that number could change. That
In
number,
other words, it wouldn't cost that one household $1,000 to get rid of the same.
that's correct.
Because the recycling part would now be free, and that 20,
Exactly.
30%.
Last week out of Hinsdale, we were, 2.5 loads for recycling.
You can't
2.5
say it's
loads for
free.
trash.
Yeah.
No.
You can't say it's
15%
free.
Volume.
I'm
So
sorry.
Your number from $1,000 is going to go the other way.
But it's not really free, because they're going to pay,
Right.
they're going to pay the recycling in their taxes.
Yes, it has to be,
That's what I brought up.
Right.
earlier.
yeah,
The
you
cost
have to
really
be
is.
clear with
Right.
that with people. This
And
is
that's
gonna be
the
free.
debate
No,
we're
it's
having
not.
with the staff, is it's really not free.
Right. It's really not free, and
Because
people
if we
need to know
say,
that.
you're right, if we say it that way, people are going to say, well, if we go to this pay-as-you-throw, we're not going to pay anything in our taxes for trash. And
And
they're
that's
still
not
going
true.
to pay for the recycling.
Then they're gonna come out at town meeting and say, you, the select board promised us this was free, Why do you have this amount of money in the budget for recycling? You see,
So if
no,
you don't
it
want-
needs to be explained that it is not really free.
If they don't want it in the budget, then we have to stop doing it completely
Yep.
and go to private.
So if you have a chance.
What?
Okay, Mike.
Look over
You
that.
got something on your mind, Mike?
It's not in the budget now.
No, recycling is not, because
Trash pickup.
the trash pickup is, that's the 135,000.
The recycling is coming out of that assessment from Wyndham Solid Waste Management District, which isn't in the budget right now.
I know, but if you had these people pick them up at curbside, we're gonna have to pay for those trucks to
Oh,
come and
yeah.
pick it up at curbside. It is
For-
going to
for-
be,
In the future, yes.
right, it is going to be in there, in the budget.
So what you're saying is there won't be a trash pickup portion of the budget. If we go to pay-as-you-throw, there still will be a Wyndham assessment, and that will pay for the recycling. So people don't understand, that's
But-
true, people
Well,
don't
It won't pay
understand.
for the collection
There's
of
still
the
gonna be
recycling.
the collection, right? But the tipping fees are gonna decrease dramatically because all of the recyclables that are going into the waste stream now are gonna go where they should go, into the recycling. And thus cut the,
That's what I was saying about the $1,000. It goes the other way, is what he's saying.
So if you said, let's take it from 15% to 30%, you know, or 40%, that $1,000, you can just reduce that.
Yeah, there's gonna be less on my floor every week. That's what we see from Hinsdale. It's going to the recycling side, they're paying for less tonnage.
and the tonnage is the more expensive component of the two.
So let me ask you, how does a company like yours diversify so you make up for the money that you're losing in tonnage?
Well, we're following this whole law is, what we do is haul. We're a hauler. And where is our business gonna be? It changes. Instead of being on the floor, it's not on the floor, it's in pickup recyclables if you chose to go that way. So our whole business just is revolving, and we're revolving with it. Or instead of fighting it, we're just revolving with it. We'll survive, I mean.
You're still gonna get paid for
everybody likes good
hauling.
workers.
And that's
We're
true,
willing to
you know, I have to say, aside of this conversation, the crew that works for you is fantastic. They really are wonderful.
great
They're very,
people. Yeah.
very efficient, hard workers, nice, pleasant people. They do a great job. So thank you.
One of those is your taxpayers.
Yeah, oh, yeah, I know that. I don't think he's one of mine, though. I don't, oh, yeah, I think I do.
He
I
lives
think
on the
one of-
Newton Road.
Yeah. Yeah.
And also, Triple T has pioneered this organic collection program. I mean, they service the school, which they've been doing it for, I don't
Long
know,
time.
6-7 years. Now they service the organic cow dumpster, we call it, as a recycling center, and then they go on down, pick up different schools and restaurants, so.
That's part of our revolving.
And there's very few firms in the Northeast that do that. They've been doing it for 7 years. So in a way, we're in a kind of a fortunate business relationship here.
Now, have you had any problems with your organic compost and stuff being tainted?
Contaminated? Everything is contaminated.
Okay.
Everything, if it gets to the point where people can't handle it by screening, then you have to go to the source and straighten out that problem.
'Cause I know-
There's a lot more policing than ever because we're recycling everything these days.
Because I know one of the waste districts up north just got sued.
Yeah, that was us Chittenden Solid Waste, and they had a pesticide that was persistent. That's really not likely to be the situation here, but it did open a lot of eyes. EPA-approved pesticide was put on sugar beets that was fed to horses, that put in horse feed, and then it remained to its concentration in the manure that it was toxic to plants. That's the real story.
It's not even healthy to eat to begin with.
So the EPA not looking too good.
Yeah.
So we're open to, if you want to get back to me on, if you like any of these options any more than as a board, or not consider some of them. But otherwise, I'll just go ahead and draft something that's kind of an explanation for townwide distribution, and then ask for feedback at a forum. Is that where we're going?
David?
When Norm and Bob were down there, one thing I did mention is the town might want to look into the land down behind us, because we don't know where this is going to be going 30 years from now. It might be something.
Yeah, I made a note, I didn't put that in there, but we know the name of the owners, and they're not.
Not a bad idea.
Could you email us all a copy of?
Yeah, I'll do that.
Okay, never mind then.
Sandy will
Thank you.
just copy
Sandy
it
will
and
copy it for us.
I assumed I could make copies here, so I'm sorry I didn't bring them.
That's fine, just so that we can
So, yeah.
all look at
So you all
be
have
on the
it.
same.
Fascinating conversation.
So look forward to working with you. It's not gonna be easy though.
No, it isn't. It isn't. That's just what I'm sitting here thinking. It just, you know, you just say, well, gotta abide by the law, but where do you go? How do you? And unfortunately, in our town, we're very used to going out to the end of our driveways and just throwing away anything we want to throw away, and that's, you know, that's why.
Well, we started this cycle quite a few years ago where the select board decided they wanted to start refusing cardboard and certain things at the curb. And the heat got too much and they called us and said, pick up everything, please, please.
Yeah.
So if we'd have stayed on that course, we'd be in a better position right now. But there is a lot of recyclables in Vernon that could be going to the district. And the page you throw is really the key to it, because it gets it off the budget, and it gets the person that puts 5 bags out. If he wants to put 5 bags out, he can pay for 5 bags. But if the guy that puts only 1 bag out, he's that much further ahead. So it's really where it lays. And I would have been 10 years ago against it. And how I see the revolving in Hinsdale working, they pay for their hauling, their disposal, and 2 days of opening at the transfer station just as a pay-as-you-throw. So what's that do for your tax base?
Wow.
Wow.
I put that in the memo, that you can make a pay-as-you-throw program so that it covers all of your costs. You just have to set the rate. And you can actually make it a cash generator to put money into a future fund.
Well, as Jeff said too, you know, it averages out when you do the math to about $1,000 a household. So there are some households that have 1 bag out and they're paying $1,000, and there's other households that have 20 bags out and they're paying $1,000. So that in itself is really unfair.
And you have a fair amount of businesses that are using it here in Vernon. And we don't have any police force to say no. It's up to the town to say these are not included, and then we could shut off a bunch of businesses, which would help some of that. And I'm not after the businesses because they're all struggling too. But it's just part of this whole thing.
Well, then also people have relatives and friends from out of town.
We used to see that during
They-
roll-off. Roll-off was
Yes.
You know.
Remember, a roll-off was just, I
Yes.
mean, you'd see all of these out-of-state cars coming into Vernon loaded, and then they'd leave empty, you know? So, I mean, that was one of the bad parts about roll-off.
That's why I warned the town probably for 4 years.
I remember you saying it
Yeah.
years ago when I was on the select
Yeah,
board.
this is being abused,
Yep.
it's being abused, and being abused. It got to the point where nobody could hardly handle it until we moved it up to our place.
Mhm.
It got out of control completely.
Well, what's nice, Vernon really has quite a few options, and they're viable. So,
I'm excited about it, actually.
Well, we have quite a
Good.
few options in the direction we want to go. We have absolutely no option in the fact that we have to go in some direction.
Right.
Because it is the law. You know, so I think that that's what's going to get us off the dime after all of these years, is the fact that we have no choice. So yeah, you know, I don't know how you want to work it, Bob. Do you want to put together a committee? Do you want?
well, I prefer, I mean, Mike is my committee right now.
Mhm.
And I mean, Norm and Peter, you know, obviously are partners in that. But everyone's, it's in this room, is probably on several boards, so. you know.
Used to be.
I think Mike and I can do the first round of the form and get it to the townwide distribution without having to have some committees. And it's kind of another way to go about it, instead of trying to have a small group figure it out. I thought it was a good idea.
Yeah, and then you always have problems with trying to get a day that everybody's available, and which we really don't have a whole lot of time, because whatever we do, we have to decide at town meeting this year, because it has to go into effect.
Has that date been set?
I thought you said
was
that
2014.
2014.
No, I'm sorry, town meeting.
Town meeting is
Always the first,
It's
the 4th and 5th
Yeah.
of March. It's always the first
First
Monday and
Monday and
Tuesday of
Tuesday.
March.
We really do have to get moving
Yeah.
on this.
Am I looking at the 2013?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. That's Monday and Tuesday. the
So we
14th.
really, because the way our fiscal year goes from July to June, we're gonna have to prepare for it in this budget. So that will have to be an article, whatever the town decides will have to be.
Does the town have to get approval to use the solid waste fund that it has? It has a separate, I forget what it's called, the landfill fund or something.
I think you have to go up to a certain amount of money. The committee or whatever has like, and then this is just a figure off the top of my head, maybe just a few thousand or something like that, and then the rest has to go, through town meeting to be spent. It isn't
Yeah.
the select board.
You can only spend a certain amount of money on anything.
No matter what,
Right,
so
right.
that doesn't really help you in terms of.
Except for if we find that there is enough money in that fund to go in one direction, the town, at town meeting, can vote to
And we
use that
have
money.
to raise additional.
Right, they could vote to use that money that's
Should we
already in the
put that
fund.
into this summary as an item?
I think that might not be a bad
That's where
idea.
I'm going with this.
So if the town decides to go to a transfer station and say there's $150,000, I don't know what's in that budget. If Sally was here, she would know right away, but say there's $150,000 in that budget and it's $35 or say $50,000 to go to the transfer station, the town can appropriate that money. They can vote to
I
appropriate
think
that money.
it's like a couple $100,000.
It
I do
is.
too.
It's solid waste. It says, it's 280,000 in there. That was as of last year. Yeah.
That was just that.
What's it called, Christine?
It's called Vernon Solid Waste Management Fund.
Okay.
Now, of course, this was June 30, 2011, so
So there's more in there now.
there's a whole lot more money in there.
Taking out Wyndham Solid Waste Management District assessment.
Right.
And the interest.
Right.
Okay, so it's in the 250 range.
It says that at town meeting of March 7th, 1989, Article 36 voted that expenditures of less than $10,000 may be authorized by the select board. Greater expenditures require town meeting approval. So,
That's it.
okay.
And I have your budget here for people to look at tonight, too. Pass that around. Thank you very much. We really appreciate your willingness to do this for us. And thank you, folks, for coming here from Triple T and the great job you always do for us.
Who's this for?
That's for you to look at. It's about the assessment and
Okay.
stuff. Okay, up next is
Phyllis.
Phyllis Newton.
Did we finish with Sandy?
Oh, did we do? We
You
didn't
didn't
finish with
finish.
Sandy.
You can vote.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, let's finish with
let's
Sandy
just-
first.
The land record scanning,
Yep.
Okay.
we have scanned just about 22,000 pages.
Wow.
If we were paying just to have the scanning, those are scanned, imported, exported, and data entered. If we were just doing the scanning, that's 40 cents a page. That's what it would cost us to have that just scanned. So it's like over $8,000.
Oh, my goodness.
We scanned a little over 30 books. We have a little over 70 books left to scan. CIS is willing to come up and scan them for us. We still have to do the data entry. The problem is when the computers kept crashing, Nemrick got corrupted. And Ina is having to go through every page of every book with the Nemrick file because you would not believe the mess they are. So she does that before I can do the data entry. So it's 40 cents a page to have them scan it for us.
Good grief.
needs to be done, because quite frankly, that is my priority. If we have a catastrophic event in this town, something should happen here, those land records are not scanned and backed up off-site, you cannot get a mortgage, you cannot get a clear title, you don't have a grand list, you don't have a tax base, and so that.
So what happens in that case? Does the town clerk come from their home over here, grab it out of the thing and take it with them, or what would happen?
Scan it?
Or is the vault safe enough to handle, to protect all that,
The vault-
no matter what?
Nothing's no matter what. What happens with ours is, when they're scanned, and I get the data entry, I click a thing, and it goes to Saugus, Mass, and he goes that night, and he sends it to Ottawa, Canada.
Oh.
So if this building was destroyed, technically speaking, and they were all scanned, within 24 hours, we'd have our records back.
Oh, wow. Mhm.
We have the same thing in our business.
Yeah.
So who are you thinking coming in? What was that?
CIS.
What is that? Didn't we? I thought we hired somebody
It's
like that.
Barracks. No, we did the barracks system, but that did not include them scanning it.
Ah.
And he is willing to come up and work as little or as much as I want him to at 40 cents a page.
It has to get done.
And the money.
And it should be
How many
getting done
pages?
before you
Well,
leave.
we've done 22,000.
But how many are left?
So you take 7 books and multiply it by a lot.
Got
More
Another
than-
20,000 pages.
pages. There's 70 more, so
Yeah, so
it's 50,000 more.
at least 50,000 pages. And some of them are going to be very difficult to do because they're on a large paper, so we're going to have to copy them, reduce them down to a small paper,
Then scan.
legal paper, and then scan it, which is what we're doing on some anyway, because otherwise it takes forever to do it.
So, a little over $20,000. We put 20,000 into getting rid of all that paper waste that's in that room up there. So
Zachary's
if
been
you
coming
look
in.
at it like that, really isn't that much.
Zachary's been coming in at no cost to the town, and he has scanned about 2,000 pages in the last couple of weeks. But he also has other jobs. It's good.
So a person could, just a regular person's gonna scan, say, 1,000 pages a week.
I can do, if
And
I'm
if
not
they're
interrupted,
doing,
if I'm not interrupted, I can do 3 to 4 books a day.
how many they would be able to do more at 40
He won't
cents a
be able to
page?
Scan them, he won't be able to do the data entry.
Right.
I'm saying if I'm not interrupted, I can do the data, and from start to finish, I can do 3 to 4 books a day, but it's like no interruptions, which is very rare.
Would it be less expensive if we hired someone? I mean, like,
I think I'd have CIS do it, because they know the system.
Hmm.
But the number,
It's been a nightmare.
it is horrible.
Yeah, computers are wonderful when they're working, but boy, when there's a glitch.
yeah. Well,
The
I
money would come out of the restoration.
do you have?
Budgets from restoration.
I thought that was used up.
No,
No? Well, then, Madam Chair, I make a motion that we allow Sandy to hire CIS, sorry.
We're not on
CSI. Sorry about that. And the money to come out of the restoration fund for payment.
It's been moved and seconded to allow the town clerk to hire CIS
You said it right.
to scan the files, the money to come out of the restoration fund. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Okay, next on the agenda is Phyllis Newton.
Is that for listers?
Auditors, listers, it says.
Well, actually, this is,
I did not come for listers, I came for auditors.
okay, so you want to do the listers first with Bill and Carol?
I would say, because I have to stay for the budget, because that's why I was coming,
Okay,
just down below.
all right. Want to come up? right, that'd be fine. I asked Bill to come here tonight because there have been some pretty big bills with TransCanada and Velcro. I always say Velcro. I know that's not right. Although we're starting to feel like we are Velcroed.
Pretty sticky.
And, I felt that it was time that the select board should know kind of where we're at, what the future is expected to be, what direction we're going in, the value of the money we're spending, is it worth it, rather than to just... So, go ahead.
Okay, I'm gonna go with TransCanada first, because it's shorter. We used to be able to talk to what used to be US Gen. We used to be able to talk to them and come to an agreement, so we didn't have to go to court. But since TransCanada bought them, they have repeatedly not had any value of what they're worth, and they've done this real update, all the millions of dollars they put into it. And the new person basically has been learning the ropes, so to speak, at the town manager's expense. So, get to the nitty-gritty here. In 2011, TransCanada appealed its assessment to BCA, who upheld the listed value. They then went to the state appraiser, who upheld the BCA. Next, they appealed to the Supreme Court. Before it is heard at the Supreme Court level, mediation is required to try to settle the dispute. This was done, and an adjustment was made on the tax bill. The actual value of the plant was not changed. In 2012, TransCanada appealed again its assessment to the BCA, who upheld the listed value. They have appealed to the Superior Court. No date has been set for the case. Because TransCanada has appealed in 8 towns, and because the Vermont List Association has been pushing for years for the state to share the cost of appeals beyond the BCA, the state has hired Mr. Sansucci to evaluate all of the dams on the Connecticut River for 2012, which he did, and he's going to also do an update in 2013. So in 2012 and 2013, we don't have to pay Skip to do evaluation. But we do have to pay him to defend him.
You said the state hired him?
Yes, the state has
And we
already-
hired him too? Is he?
No,
Oh, okay.
no. Where our money's coming in is, we have to hire him to defend it. And the towns have to pay it. They choose to use the value that he has done for the state, and we go to court or any hearings, he is the one we have to hire to defend it. But we don't have to hire him. We're free to hire whoever we want. It's just that in the
But
past,
why would you
we've
hire
used
somebody who
him
doesn't have the
anyways.
background anyway?
Yes, yes. All right. But right now, TransCanada's appeal with 8 towns, and when we come up with this agreement with them for 2011, they still hadn't had an evaluation done on themselves. And they were just disputing ours, so there was no way to negotiate. They didn't want to negotiate. Anyways, right now, they have 2 options when they appeal the BCA. They come to us, then they go to the BCA, which this year they didn't even go to the BCA. They sent a letter. But then they went to the Supreme Court. And we're waiting on that. So we're gonna, I have no idea what that's gonna cost at this point. So we're gonna have to have him, to defend that. So that's TransCanada. Any questions on that one?
There's 8 other towns
Yes,
that are in the same boat.
yes, but right now, we're the first one to go to court.
I think I'd like
Just had a question, Bill, with the credit that we had to pay TransCanada.
That was when our agreement settlement that we had.
Right, what would have been the difference? Do you know between what your appraisal would have been and what, I mean, money-wise? Is it worth
All right,
it money-wise?
when we settled, it was we met for a day, the listers and Skip Sansucci and the town attorney, And with them, they were in another room, we were in our room, and they would make us an offer, and we'd go back and forth. But anyways, as a result of it, if we proceeded to go to court, it was gonna cost us a minimum of $100,000. And if they agreed to settle, because at that time, it was $200,000 that we had saved back, that if they won, they would get. If we won, we would keep. So when we looked at the cost, we could settle it and be out of it by splitting that $200,000. So that's what we did, and that was the credit. So we had to give them a $100,000 credit towards the next year. But because at that time they didn't have any numbers, part of the agreement was that we would hold that value, that value was accepted, but they had the right to appeal the next year, which they did. And that one, they don't even want to go to the state appraiser, they went straight to court. And we're waiting now to hear from them on it. But there is a total of 8 towns that are appealing, that they have appealed the value. And I'm gonna tell you right now, we went to the meeting last year, where Skip did the presentation of the appraisal, okay? And at the end of that meeting, we were approached by another firm who offered to get us a higher value. And they have approached the town in the past, and the listers in the past, 10 years ago or more, but anyways, in other words, I'm saying if we wanted to pay more, we could hire another firm who's a bank of lawyers instead of engineers, who then they would go hire engineers, and we could pay more and come up with another value, higher value, and still end up in court. From my working with Skip Sansucci's firm and 2 other firms that I've dealt with in the past, I believe that this guy is more fair and for both sides. And like the first time I talked to him, he says that he would consider doing value for VY, but he said the chips fall where they fall. He said, I won't favor the town, I won't favor the plant. And that's what I wanted to hear, because at that time, we had other firms saying that we were not being fair. And we can go out and hire another firm and get a higher value. I feel that we got a guy who can negotiate, and I feel he's fair, and I can go into more detail, but I have to do it off the record or in the executive session.
Yeah, and I don't think the question was hiring somebody who could get us a higher value.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying.
Right, because then we're just gonna end up in court more often. But I think that the question that we wanted to ask is, we're spending a lot of money here, and we are only one of 8 towns.
Right.
I think we just wanted to make sure that the value of what we're gonna gain in the end is worth the money we're spending now. I mean, if we're spending $100,000 to fight a lawsuit that we're gonna get $100,000 in the end for, it's a whole lot of work.
That's why we settled on the last one, because
Right.
it was a break-even situation.
Can I ask one more?
Yeah, but
Can I ask, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Well, what concerns me is, and it's really not a concern, because I would definitely go with a person that we already have that knows us absolutely. But is he fighting for us? You say that he isn't in favor of this or this.
No, he is fair and willing to talk. The problem we've had with TransCanada is they have not been willing to talk, because they haven't had no value. Now that we're going to go to court, they finally did a value. Do you know what that is? Because that isn't the main one we got to deal with, so I didn't do much research on that. But that one, right now, off my top of my head, you don't got the information on that, because where the big bill is on Valco, TransCanada. So if we
But
just
we
get that-
we keep paying, but we're not ending this. Is it coming close to an end, or I mean, is this going to be a constant thing?
Right now, we're waiting on a Supreme Court date with TransCanada.
Oh, okay.
And I think the answer to that is anybody can grieve a tax and go as far as to the
Exactly.
Supreme Court. So,
Absolutely, I
you know,
understand that.
so
That's not, I
there's
just
not-
mean
that's not within the town's control.
Right.
I know what you mean, but
Yeah.
we could have even charged less for taxes, and they still could have done the same thing they're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. I just,
I feel that we're being fair and conservative with them, and they're just playing hardball. And they're playing
Oh, yes.
hardball with every town.
yeah.
Well,
That's obvious.
You just said that the state hired Sanssouci to do the appraisal,
Correct,
and all we're doing is paying him to defend it in court.
correct.
But you just said that we haven't gone to court yet, so
No.
what is the huge bill?
The
That's
huge bill
Velco.
is on Velco, not on TransCanada.
And you haven't got to that
No.
yet. Well, then let's get to that.
I do have one question first. Is it,
He's warning us there's a
If the
huge bill
state-
coming.
Yeah.
if the court rules one way, are they set for 3 years, or is it just if the state appraiser does it? That if the state says you're valued at X, is that set for 3 years? Or is it-
Yes, unless they do a substantial change again, then we can change it
Then
again.
you can change it, but they can't whine about it for 3 years. That's all.
They can't
Right.
bring it
If-
forward, three
if-
taxes.
If we go to court and they win, it's set for 3 years, or if we win, it's set for 3 years.
So we have 3-year break.
And a lot of times,
Paying, you mean?
Yeah.
Okay, because I mean, I don't know if it's like, this is an every month thing that we keep paying, but then he's working
We're doing
on
two
two different things.
Well, the reason why they were able to grieve again this year is because of the way the agreement was made last year, and it didn't go all the way to the Supreme Court. They stopped it because they said, okay, we each have $100,000 to gain.
Yeah.
So now this year, it's already on its way to the Supreme Court.
Yeah.
So now, that will be, because that's statute. That's set
Oh,
in
yeah,
stone.
absolutely, I understand that completely.
and they have two choices. They can elect to go with the state appraiser, or they can elect to go to court, and they would like to go to court.
It's the in-between that I know everybody has a right to go all the way to court. It's from here to here, and like Bobby said, we're not in court, so why are we, but then you're getting to that, so.
Now to get to Velco,
Yes.
which technically is called Transco now. They basically changed their name. On a lot of their bill headings, they've got Transco, Velco, but technically they are Transco now instead of Velco.
Does that mean TransCanada too?
No, that's
Oh,
different.
I mean, it's not gonna be a Canada
TransCanada
thing
is the
again,
dams.
is it?
It's all of the dams.
Okay.
Velco or Transco is all these new.
Yeah.
Switch yards?
Right, right.
Mhm.
And they have put millions into it over there, okay? Now, this is the one that could get complicated, so I'm gonna just try to tell you where we are now. Okay,
And before he starts, this is with the understanding that a lot of what's going on here is confidential. So he's going to do an overview that can be public record, but if there's anything deeper that, obviously
to go
can't be out.
Well,
to the public,
okay,
we'll
then
have
if
go
I
into
start to
executive
ask
session.
something, please stop me.
Right.
I wouldn't,
or,
because
you know,
I'm like,
decide.
I'm
Depends
gonna
on how
talk.
long you wanna be here.
Yeah.
Okay, in 1999, Transco appealed, or Velco appealed to the state appraiser, who found in their favor. The town appealed the state appraiser's decision to Superior Court. The town was very poorly represented, and Mr. Santos was not allowed to testify to defend his values, and the town lost the case. Okay, it is now 2011. And this time, then, we were only talking around $7 million, so it wasn't worth pursuing it anymore. But we're now talking $90 million against their $80 million, we're $92 million, okay? And they have elected to go to the state appraiser. And so this time, not enough things were, basically when you go to court, you go to appraisal, whatever is submitted is what can be brought forward if it's not submitted. So last time, So this time, homework was done, and that's why the big bill. And let's see,
Should have done it
without
first time.
getting too far. So our assessment was at $92,023,700. The Transco's assessment was $80,935,400. A difference of $11,088,000. We have already, because this was such a drawn-out case, both sides, it took 2 days, so to us, it was like being in court. You know, this guy is a judge for the state, and one whole day, the other side presented his side. We never got to present our side. So a week later, we had to present our side. So we have the town lawyer, Skip, and one of his men, and the listers here at the meeting. It took us all day, right, basically.
But it says
Twice.
Vernon was poorly represented.
That
What
was
does that
in
mean?
'99.
Oh,
In
okay,
99.
okay,
Right.
yep.
Right. So now this is all done. It's like going to court, but instead of going to
Let me just correct that, because I'm not sure poorly represented is a good term to be
Right.
using.
not enough information dealing with the facts were available because they were not admitted earlier.
Right, and by statute, Velco has a certain, I'm trying to say all of this without saying anything I should be saying in a
Right,
public meeting.
that's what I'm telling you.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's 99 have to do with 2011? Where's
Because it's the same
connection?
issue. But before, we were dealing with 7 million, now we're dealing with 90 million, $11 million difference. If we lose, it's $11 million. If we win, it's $11 million. We would be willing to compromise, but they haven't been willing to talk.
I think I can say this, the state has it set up in statute for a rate. The argument is what the rate is, and the interpretation of the statute to say what that rate is. So that's where the hang-up is, and that's why in 1999, a lot of the information that was gathered was not allowed to be able to be presented because the question was about the statute.
It turned into the statute and not the actual valuation or the methodology. Actually, the whole thing boiled down to the methodology.
So it's a state problem.
Well,
Not really.
it's our
It's put
problem.
off onto us.
It's our problem,
No,
but it's,
now you're getting that confused with Trans-Canada.
Yep.
In 1999, we had a different attorney, and the attorney that represented Vernon felt that his utility person was qualified to take on the case, and he didn't have Sansucci sitting beside him and doing the work for him.
well, the utility person was the person that we hired back then.
No.
No,
No,
the only person was Skip, and he was not allowed to be involved in it.
Skip was not part of that. It was somebody out of Cummings' office.
I can't remember back then. But
So-
go ahead.
So this time, if you look at the bill, a lot of it is research and presentation. So a lot of the cost was, like right off the bat, I can see $5,200 before we even went to this hearing, just on research, dealing with the situation. And then the presentation of it, and the cost of it all. There's some things I'm reluctant to say that I could say, if we want to go into executive session, or if one of the select board wanted to talk to me one-to-one, because some of you know, some of you don't, more details. So that's your call. We can go into executive session if you want more information, or you could talk to me.
I think that and I can't say, let me rephrase that, because I don't know what the select board thinks, because I'm only one person.
Right.
For me, I just want to know that the money we're spending is going to be recouped plus if we win this case. I don't want to see us spending this kind of money.
Put it this way, the methodology that we're fighting has been ruled out of most states. New Hampshire has, it's been, at court case after court case has ruled it out.
But we're not New Hampshire.
No. And we had a person who used to work for utilities who ended up working for the state, and he introduced this methodology. Plus, they used it incorrectly. So it gets very complicated.
But is the state willing to change the method?
Not at this moment.
So we could be doing all of this to lose a case.
This time, we got a different hearer, and this guy seemed very willing to be open-minded on it. The one we had before was not. He didn't want to hear it.
Which I think is why we had the recommendation we had in 1999, because it's not only the case that you're arguing, it's the statute that you're arguing.
With no statute.
Well,
It's not a statute.
it's the way it was set up by the state, you're right,
No,
it's not
it's not even the
statute.
way it was set up. It's one man suggested this methodology. It is not something they have to use.
But the state was dead set on using this method at the time.
No. No.
Yeah, they were.
The state acknowledges that method.
Right. But the method that is normally used is what Skip used.
So
And we
Skip
have-
is
we have
using a
problem as
method that's
lifters
not even
of equity.
the
Not even
state's
statute.
method.
Yeah, because in 1999, this was Velco you're talking about that we fought. And from 1999, and why this bill is because he's done more research. He
This
didn't
time,
have the
when
research
this
on board.
situation came up, the choice was to let them win or prepare in more intensity. So this time, Skip did his homework and did a lot of research to find out where he spoke to the man that now took the place of the other man up there and found out where we're at. And he presented a really nice case. It'd been nice if one or two of you could have been at the hearings. I know it was 2 long days, but it was very educational. I learned quite a bit out of it.
But the difference is now there's more money to be gained if we win a case. When we, in
Right now, it's-
1999, there wasn't enough money to be gained that made it worth
Yes.
going through that
Yes.
kind of a cost for the process where we could end up even.
Right. Eventually, it's
So
going
it really wasn't that we didn't get good legal advice. We really did get good legal advice because there was nothing to be gained by fighting it all the way to this
go any
level
further.
in 1999.
Right, to go any further.
Right.
And actually, the listers told the attorney and the select board at that time that going to court, we would lose. We knew we'd lose.
Right, and that's why I'm getting to this, because I kind of,
Yeah,
as we
yeah.
talk, I remember more and more
It
of
was
these
out of our
conversations.
hands, and our recommendation was that we would lose. It was set in stone. But this time, it is not set in stone, and this time, it's more involved, and we're hoping for a much fair, and that's why they picked the method they did instead of going to court. Because I think we go to court, we're gonna win. If we don't win the full 11 million, you're gonna win a good portion of it. We're hoping for, at the least, a compromise.
And that will be set for 3 years. We're not going to
Yeah.
give them that.
Well,
So
then
at
the
this
precedence has been
point-
set too, and we can use this method in the future without
Right,
it being a
we're
lawsuit.
waiting on the judgment right now, so the money is spent. We just have to pay the bill. And, we feel that if we don't win the whole thing, we're gonna win enough to make it worthwhile. We're talking $11 million here
Okay.
of the assessment, the difference, $11 million.
Right, not $11 million in our pocket,
Right,
the difference in the
right.
assessment.
It
of
makes a
$11 million.
difference, I got the numbers right here.
I knew that one, I just wanted to make sure that everybody was catching that. I don't want anybody to think we're $11 million just falling out of the sky for us.
Right.
But we're kind of like stuck, I mean.
If we win,
that term.
Lawsuit's over anyway.
we're A-okay, except for you gotta pay the bill.
Right.
If we lose, the town has to refund approximately $140,000.
Plus what we've spent.
That's what we spent. If the state appraiser finds a middle ground.
Well, we don't have to reimburse what we already
We
paid.
hope for approximately then we're refunding $70,000. But then you're gonna get more next year and the year after that and the year after that.
So we're kind of stuck with Sansusi because he seems to be the only one that's.
Well, at this point, the lawsuit's over,
Yes.
so we have no choice but to pay the bills.
Right.
But I
Yeah.
think, you know, for me, I wanted to know
Yeah, me too.
where we were at and why, you know, why we were spending the money, what could happen if we win, what could happen if we lose.
Yeah, well, we knew it was gonna be expensive, we were surprised at how expensive. But if, you know, I was surprised how they had lawyers, two lawyers, and they had they were well presented. One whole day was just presenting this side, then one whole day presenting our side.
So
And
it
it's
would
now
be
in the
nicer for
hands
them
of
to
this-
just pay their taxes instead of bringing us to court, right? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, oh, they are. I mean,
Think
whatever we
what a novel
pay, they're
concept.
pretty much paying too. But we're hoping that we're gonna win some ground, which is gonna benefit us in the future, because, plus they depreciated already a year before it even got online, which was another aspect of the contradiction.
Okay.
But if somebody wants some more of the nitty-gritty, you know, I'm willing to share what we have. We can get into some numbers then, or we can have us come back and we can, you know, try to be better prepared, and if you want to go in executive session.
Well, I think, I mean, at this point, I think you've answered most of our questions, and if anybody has any other questions, I think the best way probably to handle it would be a personal meeting with you. But then certainly if you guys have any other questions and you want it dealt with at select board, we can have Bill come back in the future and have an executive session meeting. But, I mean, at this point, I think we've said all we can say in public and still protect the town. Okay? Thank you very much.
Thank you very
Really
much.
appreciate you coming in tonight.
I'm sorry.
I apologize to everybody for the long evening.
No, I thought you were clear
When I
enough.
saw the agenda,
Great.
it was going to be a long one. Sally?
Nope, Phyllis.
Oh,
Phyllis said she was
auditors.
staying.
she wanted to wait until we started the budget. Okay.
Oh.
Trina's not here. Did you
No,
look
she's
at the
not.
budget? I mean, did you get the warrant sheet?
Yes.
And the warrants were signed by two members, so all you need to do is ratify them.
Madam Chair,
Mr. Miller?
I move that we ratify warrants 14 SG, accounts payable, $104,973.98, 51S payroll, $14,241.12, 52S payroll, $14,406.69.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to ratify and pay warrants 14 SG accounts payable, $104,973.98, 51S payroll, $14,241.12, and 52S payroll, $14,406.69. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 I have here also, Sally, for you, the Domain Registry of America for our domain name for next year for VernonBT.org, and Humane Society, the contract. And I think I have to sign this contract. No? Yes?
Yeah, you do if we agree to use them, and that's normally not done until after the
March meeting?
March meeting.
Yeah, because we have to.
Because we've already done it
appropriate
for
the
this
money
year.
first. That's right. So would the town clerk's office want to hold, or maybe the treasurer's office hold on to this till after the first of the year? And I'll pass that
No,
along too. 'cause
not
that
the
needs to
first of
be-
the year.
I mean, she knows what I mean.
Okay. I knew too.
Thank you.
Till July 1.
No,
No, till
One.
after town meeting.
town meeting, after town meeting.
All right, I'm gonna wait on the Alice J. Brooks because that will need an executive session.
Okay.
And I just have a couple things. One was, I had the occasion to speak to Cookie the other day. She came in and asked me about the senior budget
Mhm.
and whether anybody had met with the seniors. And I said, well, I believe that Patty mentioned that she did speak to Carol. And there really wasn't
And
any
Nancy.
movement. Okay, Cookie's unaware of that, so I just said that you had, and there were some different things that the the board had talked about, and so I told them that the board is gonna keep you to your gas amount, that you're gonna get $3,000, and they want you to stay within that. And, so she asked me if it was possible, to use gas from somewhere other than the highway garage, if the gas is cheaper. And David happened to come in this morning and saw this on the agenda and asked me about it. And right now, currently, he uses mid-grade, not the lowest octane fuel. So, and the pumps that we have a better grade fuel, and he feels that that would be best in the van. So he did call me later and tell me that really right now, the difference between mid-grade, between the garage and out and about is 5 cents. So I told her I'd ask you what you thought about it, but, and I guess that's what I'm here to do, ask your feelings on whether Cookie should get fuel at a pump to save some dollars or not.
We buy it. I mean, the town supplies it. I don't know. I say no, but I'm only one.
David, how about your opinion? I don't want to put you on the spot, but if you feel that the van is going to,
Well, if she's gonna compare mid-grade to mid-grade, she can pick it up if you're over in Keene or whatever.
but you think mid-grade's better for the van than buying just regular?
It is.
I was just going to say, and you're next.
That's why I
And we
stopped.
buy it. I mean, I think that it should be bought right here.
As long as she's getting mid-grade and it's cheaper, I really don't care myself.
The problem is I see it being a hassle.
Yes.
You know, how do you keep track of it? Like, now we can keep track of what's going on. I just,
Well, she's got a credit card.
yeah.
And she has before had to use it for gas. If she's away on a trip, for instance, she will get gas somewhere else, and then we pay the bill and we use it, we take it
Out of her
the
budget.
gas allocation.
Right.
Seniors, so it's possible to do. And it doesn't affect me one way or the other, so I really have no opinion. I just want to make sure that David's okay with what fuel is going into the van.
Then the police department gonna go somewhere else,
Well, the police department shouldn't be leaving town.
Well, I know, but I'm just saying, I mean, it's just, I don't know.
Unless they're going to
We
the
buy
sheriff's
it for the
department.
town's
Really, the
vehicles,
police
I
department
think.
shouldn't be out of town with cars.
I know, but what I'm saying is that if we, allow one, then we're setting a precedence for all of them to go. And next thing you know, why bother buying a big bulk gas? And I don't know. Probably wouldn't, I'm just saying.
I just think it was an effort on her part.
To
Yeah,
try to save
absolutely.
money.
Yeah.
To try to save money and make her gas go further, and that's
Yeah,
to be
absolutely.
commended.
Yep.
I'd like to make a motion to allow her to do that.
I'll second it.
It's been moved and seconded to allow the senior, the van driver to purchase
Mid-grade.
mid-grade fuel other than at the town. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Okay.
Okay. Well, something not on the agenda that I'm going to bring up so that we can do it quickly is our reimbursement for mileage. IRS went up from 55.5 to 56.5. I'm going to ask you to approve that for this year, but I'm going to go further to say, can we just make a motion to always go by the IRS? So we don't have to do it every January, or do you prefer someone to come and so you know exactly what the amount is?
I think it's pretty standard for most companies and governments to just go by the IRS. I know that's what we did as a legislator. We were given the government rate. I don't have a problem with somebody making a motion to do that, but I do think that it's important for us to know what that rate is from time to time. If it's adjusted a lot, it makes a big difference.
Yeah.
So I think we need to be able to have a handle on that. So I don't have a problem with you just being able to adjust it, but I do think that,
Okay.
future
I have
boards
no
need to know.
problem sending an email or something out to the chair or the members saying this is what it will be. Let me know if you're okay or if you want to make a change.
I'll make a motion to allow the mileage reimbursement to be automatically adjusted to the IRS rate.
I'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded to allow the gas reimbursement rate to be automatically adjusted to the IRS rate. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And then I do have an executive session for an LSG.
Before you do that, did you want to do the phones while Sally was still here?
Are you staying for the budget? Staying for the budget. Oh, okay.
So
Unfortunately, we're almost done.
is that contractual? Personnel? Oh, no, it's not personnel. It actually is contractual because it's under the contract of the Alice J. Brooks Fund. Madam Chair, I move that we go into executive session with our treasurer on a contractual matter, the disclosure of which at this time might be detrimental to the town and/or individuals involved.
It's been moved and seconded to go into executive session with Sally on a contractual matter, the disclosure of which at this time might be detrimental to the town and/or individuals involved. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye. No, I'm not worried about you.
You too. You too. Hey, that was a great story. Thank you. Well deserved. I got it. You too. few days to get used to.
I wasn't actually very used to it.
I don't think you ever get used to it, but it takes a few days to
For the chair and.
stop being whiny.
Yeah, Rick's oldest son joined the army and he's in boot camp. He came home for Christmas, but the children haven't heard anything about that.
Because,
Well,
yeah.
65 weeks.
Yeah, I don't mind. Like living away from home, obviously. It's just,
It's hard.
you don't, when you deliver a baby and they hand it, how can you send that baby to the hospital?
Yeah, exactly.
It's just, I'm a mom. Always a mom first.
Yep.
How long do kids stay home? A couple weeks?
Mike's gone, he left yesterday for Afghanistan for 4 months. Mike didn't come home because he was going overseas. Matt, who was just made a second lieutenant, is the one who's helped me into in DC.
Madam Chair.
Okay, we came out of executive session at 8:15.
Madam Chair, I move that we expend $653.92 from the Alex J. Brooks Fund.
It's been moved and seconded to expend $653.92 from the Alice J. Brooks Fund. All of those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Sally. Okay, we don't have a whole lot
All
to
right, good night,
discuss-
Bobby.
Good night, Bobby. Happy
Night.
New Year.
You do.
We don't have a lot to discuss on the ordinances because the attorney didn't get back to me today. We emailed back and forth at the end of the day on Friday, and he said he had been busy in mediation all week, and that he would get back to me today, but I haven't heard from him, so we're still waiting on the ordinances. Okay.
How many is there, may I ask?
Well, we had him look at a couple of
Yeah,
them.
we just need to have the verbiage so we can post them. so we
Yeah.
can-
So we can close them.
Because I thought we were all, yeah, I thought we were
And
all,
the safety committee, the building policy still.
yeah,
And then-
I asked about that, too.
okay.
I'm trying.
Sorry about that.
Okay, let's go to budget. I see we have our smiley fire people here today. Are you here about the budget?
Yeah.
Okay, come on up. Let's get you guys out of the way.
Did you want this?
Actually, they probably should be put in file. Okay, we're all trying to get to the right page here.
The six one.
Okay, go ahead. You got the floor.
The last time that we met, we talked about moving 2,000 from truck repair maintenance to equipment repair maintenance. So that now will be 8,000 and 7,000 versus 10,000 and 5,000.
Okay.
And then I decided to take $1,000 from building repair and maintenance to go from 7,500 back down to 6,500.
So equipment repair is going to be 5,000?
I did. Do you want this one?
Does anybody have any questions? You know what, I'm sorry, I forgot we're at budgets. Finance committee, come on up. I'm sorry. Leave you over there.
Okay, we're taking it, the 2,785 is the correct amount of money, correct? In the Southwest
The Southwest Mutual Aid, yeah.
is 27. Is the 27,875, correct? And 7. So my 75 should be 65.
Phyllis, you had a question?
I was just wanted to bring out, not just for the fire department, but other departments as well. On page 21 of last year's town report, it's always in the town report, but under the town general comparative balance sheet, we have designated fund balances that Sally keeps in reserves. And some of those reserves, I'm not even sure that Todd's aware of, and I'd like to know what the status of them are, if they want to keep them for the designated, what it was designated for several years ago, or can we use them to try to reduce his current budget so they don't have to raise as much? And the ones that would pertain to fire would be fire pond maintenance has $8,765.40, June 30, 12. And that's that's just your reserved one. It used to be called fire pond maintenance, and now it's been changed to Dunkley Fire Pond. But the Dunkley Fire Pond is a completed project, so I don't think we should keep it as Dunkley Fire Pond. We should either put it into, give it back to general and continue as Todd has done with budgeting, but because he has fire pond maintenance,
4,700.
4,702. So, I mean, you've already got 87 right there. And then the other one was an appropriation that I didn't know the article was voted for. I don't know, you can't do anything with it tonight, but at town meeting, firefighter 1 training, the balance is still $12,974. But if you ask the town, I mean, I don't know, maybe Todd wants to keep that 12,000 in for firefighter 1 training, but if everyone has done firefighter 1, maybe it should be brought up at town meeting again to rename it, or give it back to general and help out.
Defray costs.
A different,
Yeah.
I just wanted to bring those up because they just get brought over every year, and I think those are the only 2 that pertain to fire.
You want to speak on it, Todd?
I think the firefighter 1 started out at, I want to say $18,000.
Yes.
I know Dave did, I want to say he took new material for firefighter 1, because I think, what was it, 06, they swapped to, or changed to Jones and Bartlett manuals, which is a whole new program and stuff like that. So I'm not sure if we can take and purchase more literature on firefighter 1 stuff, like in-house training, like disc DVDs and stuff like that. If we can utilize that out of this $12,000 or not.
I think you can.
As long as
Firefighter 1. As long as it's used for that type of training, absolutely.
Because I know there's a lot of, stuff that they can cover that would help with our new members. I mean, we have 3 new explorers now, so that could, help with them too, get them prepared for the actual firefighter 1 course. I know sometimes with firefighting training options, they're never limited. I just don't know, like, what you could and can't utilize the $12,000 for.
So if you were going to use the $12,000 for some of the firefighter 1 training, could you subtract some of your training in your budget?
It's a possibility.
I know you're on the spot. I
Right,
don't
no.
mean, you know, you obviously have to talk to people and
Right,
look at the numbers but we have to close this budget soon. I mean, we just can't keep the budget open. But certainly, we want to try to minimize the increase we have in the budget. So, you know, Phyllis has a great point. We have a lot of funds out there that have been kind of going from year to year to year, but nobody's using them. So let's find out what those funds are and roll back the amount of revenue we have to raise. Because it helps people's tax rate. Now, I think for the taxpayer to understand what's going on, you're better off anytime you can. If there's a fund that applies to something that is here in your budget and you could be taking money from that fund, you're better off to do that because then your budget isn't being raised as much, so people aren't questioning your budget as much. So if there's a way to do that within your own budget, so your bottom line increase is nothing, then that looks great.
What if we were to have an article to change firefighter non-training
To training.
to firefighter training?
Now, another thing too that may be a possibility is out of that 12,000, if we do make an article like that, could that fund possibly, because we talked in the past about gas cards, or,
Yeah, only for training. That would have to actually be, have to be a line in the budget. People would have to see it and know what it was. It really could go into training, because really you're giving people gas cards to minimize their cost for coming to the station for fires. So that's really not training.
Now, if they were going away for training or something like that, then you're gonna pay for the gas anyway, and that would come under that because it is used for,
Right.
yeah,
Right, so that's not quite the same thing,
yeah.
One of my things I've been thinking about a lot lately is more incentive.
Mhm. Well, you and I have talked about that for a year now. I think it's a great incentive. What are you talking about for bottom line for the cost?
Yeah.
That's the hard part, because there's, you can set precedents, but some people, I have one firefighter that doesn't have a car right now. So that one person doesn't make as many calls as, say, JJ, so it's really hard to base.
How's Gilbert doing?
I think they get $5 or $10 per call.
Oh, is that how they do it? They do it per call?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
There's days when we get 2-3 calls a day.
And you go a month without a call.
We've gone like 2.5 weeks without a fire call, which is not a bad thing. But,
No, that's not. We're happy to hear that.
I just would like to, I got a lot of guys that, sometimes lose interest in, you need to find a way to keep them, constantly active and, give them a little more incentive to show up for that false alarm or, But as far as the bottom line, I wouldn't even know where to start.
We can always pull our average numbers for the past years, the average numbers of people who go to certain calls.
That's what I was gonna ask. I'm sure you have records on your calls and who showed up and stuff. And, just a ballpark. And if it runs out, it runs out, but at least you're giving some kind of an incentive now. Anytime we raise this budget, we have to find a way to pay for it.
Right, no, I understand that.
So, could we take the training out, or some of the training out, and pay for it that way? Because it's gonna be a few $1,000s for gas cards.
Right.
And could we minimize the money that's in the fund that Phyllis just said, or keep this that way and roll over that fund?
What part of this training, you got two of them, training and travel, and then training, travel, and conference. What part of that is firefighter, FF one?
Usually when we have members take firefighter 1 classes and they turn in their mileage for reimbursement, it comes out of the training, travel, and conference. Versus
I know, but how much do you think that You know, I mean, how much of this is for firefighter one? Wow, I said it perfect that time.
It all depends on where it's at.
Oh,
where the top
you don't know.
is.
Yeah.
No, I'll tell you.
Because I was going to say, if you have like 2,000 of that 4,000 is for firefighter one training, then you could just say we cut it by 2,000, and I've got 12,000 over here to use for firefighter one. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But then again,
Or you could have an article to rename it and get rid of all of it.
yeah, that's true too.
That's what I was thinking, have an article to rename it.
Just rename it as to training, and then take these firefighter and all that out. I mean, training, and travel, training, travel, and confidence.
Say that 3 times.
I couldn't do it.
You got through all the Fs,
I'm
though.
too tired right now.
Patty, just, you haven't, there's just one more too. It's a reserve. The Brindley Mountain settlement for 5,000, we've been holding that over for many years. And that was for a fire accident.
The rescue
right?
vehicle,
Rescue
when the
vehicle.
rescue vehicle was purchased, I think David had found, wasn't it the paint, Todd? Something was wrong,
Yeah.
and so Brindley gave him back $5,000.
Remember that?
And it was never used for painting the vehicle, so it's been sitting there.
That certainly should be rolled over. I'd like to try to roll it over
That
in a
should
way
get-
that it decreases the fire department's budget though.
You could,
That's what I
because
think
it's
it should-
already money that's raised, it's
Right.
been done.
Now, is that a fund?
It's not a
It's a
fund
reserve.
fund, it's just a
Is it
reserve.
appropriation, sort of, kind
It
of?
wasn't
It wasn't
appropriation, but it
voted,
became a
it's just a reserve.
yeah.
So we could use that, we could say that we want to use that, we could rename that to be used for X amount, right? It's 5,000, why can't we say that we'll use that for something equivalent to 5,000?
Could you put it in as income?
You know, like new uniforms or something like that.
You mean at the bottom of the budget, yeah.
Yeah. We could do that too.
I could do it that way, but then it doesn't reduce the.
It doesn't,
firefighter budget.
right, it doesn't reduce the
Right.
budget.
And that's what I want to see us do. If we're going to take funds out of the fire department, I'd like to see it reduce their budget so at town meeting, people aren't.
How about taking 5,000 out of the truck repair? Because you have a truck repair line of 8,000. We take 5,000 out of there, and that $5,000 that's in that reserved fund be put in its place, and that way you still have $8,000. Do you see what I mean?
So then so if we do that, we take 5,000 out of the truck repair maintenance?
Right, because that's what that was for, was a repair and a maintenance type of thing, correct? So the line item versus that money actually kind of matches. So we could do that, and you still have $8,000 to spend. Do you see what I mean? It hasn't touched your budget in any way except for reducing it here on paper. And then you have the 5,000 that's on that reserve. I mean, I don't know.
Right, I agree. And then on the $12,000 that's in the other fund, you can put that towards training. That would have to be an article, because that's a fund. That
Yeah, you
has
have
to be
to
an article.
switch.
It was
Change.
an
It's an
appropriation.
appropriation that then becomes, when you don't use it all, becomes a reserve. I have
Right.
two kinds of reserve.
Oh, so we can rename it.
I don't think so, because it was an appropriation, it was voted.
It was voted, okay.
That one was voted, that was just something that we got back and named it.
I think the people would do that. I do,
And then we have
for the
two
fire
double
department,
fire
absolutely.
80,000,
80,000.
and the 8,000.
But that's not Dunkley right now, the 8,000, it's just fire fund maintenance, right?
Well, I've got in pencil here. that
Go ahead, Todd.
You moved it from.
Well, just, I just want to be clear on this
Dunkley Fire.
5,000
I've got
for
80.
Brindle Mountain. If we take it out, take the 5,000 out of the truck maintenance?
You'll still have 8,000.
You'll
Because
still
that
have it.
$5,000 from that reserve will go into truck maintenance.
Yep. You can, and when you come in with your, well, I know you don't do purchase orders anymore, but when you do a truck maintenance thing, Sally will take it automatically right out of that and not out of your budget until that's gone, that 5,000's gone. And then it'll go, then you still have 3,000 left on your line item.
So you'll still have the same 8,000. You got a question, Tiff?
I was just thinking, is that for 1 year? Do we have to?
Yep.
remind
Yeah, 1 year,
that
1 year.
you'll have to bring that up again
Right,
for
then you have to
next
bring
year?
it up the
Bring
next
it up
year.
the next year.
But it will minimize it for this
For
year.
this year, yeah.
Mhm.
And it's crazy for us to be raising taxes if we have funds everywhere.
And with all these other funds, you maybe could really kind of, I think for the next couple of years on that training, if we could change, if we ask the townspeople to change the wording from firefighter 1 to just complete training, then you could take all this right out of here, and you would have a whole, and forgive my term, a whole heck of a lot more funds. As
So
opposed
then
to what
you
you have
could,
here.
and this is up to the board, but then we could add a line for gas card reimbursements for all of the people and put 2,000 in that, because
Yep.
your budget's still lower than it was last year.
Right. Yeah, because we could just change that to like a travel thing, or travel/gas card, and the training,
I'd like to
travel,
name
and
it
conference.
something better than gas card, because that sounds,
Well, travel, right?
well, it really isn't too, I would call it a reimbursement
Yeah,
for.
she said travel reimbursement. I like
Yeah,
that idea, too.
I like travel reimbursement, because if we just put gas card, it just looks like we're handing everybody out gas cards, and we're really reimbursing everybody for what their cost of getting back and forth to the stations.
So travel reimbursement.
And you can look at the figures and see what, I would say it's
Spell it right,
probably about
Chris.
$2,000. That should cover it. But so you can put a line item in for $2,000 for gas reimbursements and roll over those two funds. And your budget is still less than last year, and you're accomplishing everything you want to.
Well, he'll actually be down $12,000, but we'll have gained, he'd be down 12, but he will gain the 5,000 plus the 12,000.
Right.
So,
You'll be
I mean,
gaining
you'll be
more
only
than what he's
gaining the
cutting.
5,000, right?
What about the
Right.
fire pond maintenance?
Yeah, we really need to do something about that, because that's, I mean, if it's,
That makes sense.
That's-
I think that's a town.
That's a town meeting thing, too.
It was named Dunkley out of town.
Yes, it was.
I guess I'm a little confused on.
But what about the reserve?
Maintenance is not the same thing as.
I couldn't hear you. What did you say, Jeff?
This maintenance fund, I mean, to me, it's part of the budget, it's a line item here. And this, hate to take the word Dunkley tanks or whatever, it's really South Vernon, it's not just
Right.
for Dunkley.
right.
So it should really be.
I mean, that's a totally separate fund issue.
But that fund, I think, was raised to put a fire pond
Yes.
at Dunkley Farm. So that's really different than maintenance. Now, the fire pond has already been put in through the expense of the Dunkleys.
It was a privately funded fire pond.
I
The
think,
landowner-
let me finish it, because you're not going to agree with me because you're a select board member, but I think if the Dunkley family spent their money on a fire pond that they're willing to have as the South Vernon fire pond, the Dunkleys should be reimbursed for the cost of putting in that fire pond.
Yes, I agree. Definitely, I do.
If they're allowing the town to use it,
Yep.
The town should maintain it.
the town should maintain it,
Maintain
and
it,
the
yep.
town should have the burden of the expense of the fire pond to begin with.
That's why I stayed away from that fire pond thing. I felt that it should be left alone, and you are correct. I agree with you. I'd even make a motion today to.
I don't think at this.
Well, you have to
You
recuse
can't.
yourself for a minute.
Yeah, you have to.
So you're outvoted.
So you want to use that fund up? We'll use that fund up and reimburse the.
To take the Dunkley Fire Pond and reimburse the family for their cost of putting in the fire pond, and thank them profusely for them allowing us to use that pond.
So
All
moved.
those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye. Okay, so that's, but we're going back to the travel training thing.
With a bunch of women, huh?
Okay, but we will still, I don't know what the cost was, but we had $80,000 in there, so we're still gonna have to do something.
Well, no,
What's
wait a minute.
this,
We're
12,000?
confusing things now. One had 5,000 and the other has
5,000,
80.
right.
The Dunkley Fire Pond appropriation has 80,000. The reserve
Maintenance.
for maintenance has.
It costs 79,000, right? Right, Jeff? $79,999.99.
So we need to change the motion to allow the remaining funds to be rolled over. Now, let's talk about maintenance. You have a fire pond maintenance line item.
Can't do what?
you can't, it's gotta be changed, the name has to be changed at town meeting.
Right.
to
Right.
use it. But we should use it before town meeting.
Yes, we can reimburse the Dunkleys right away, properly.
We have a figure.
Yep.
Right, we can reimburse them and then ask for the name to be changed or to be rolled over into the fire department's budget, or we need to talk about fire pond maintenance.
No, don't go into fire department budget, it goes into general fund.
Just go back to
It
general.
goes back to
fund,
general
right,
fund.
I'm sorry.
Unless you need
Yeah.
it, though. Are you gonna need money
Well,
for fire
I mean,
pond maintenance?
the last conversation that we had, which was just the last time I was here, was not throwing out the potential idea of storage tanks.
Yeah.
That's what that money
Yeah,
is.
Sally said, don't we need that for maintenance? I think maybe we not
I mean,
just change the name of that.
no, I'm not 100% sure if the 80 grand would cover 2 tanks, or if 1 tank would be less than 80 grand. I'm not 100% sure what Dave would do for that. And it's kind of hard to catch up with Dave nowadays, but I can catch up with Dave, and we can kind of throw numbers around where he was at and what the cost of 1 tank would be. And then maybe just revisit the site, the historian, and stuff for it and see if we can go for it with putting more storage tank on it.
I think we ought to start maintaining the fire ponds too, because the Miller Fire Pond never got put in, did it?
Miller.
That was way done.
He's too little to remember, he was too little to remember.
Stop, he's not too little anymore.
He was then. Last thing he was thinking about was fire pond back then.
Something like lodges, I think there's like 20.
The one on the Blodgetts is a good pond.
Okay, how about the proper?
I don't draw straight lines very well, Patty, but here, look, do you want to see this? They're talking about.
Look, at least I
I'm
remember.
underlined red for
Is
you.
it Palms Square?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that we have to do right now is just make it so all of our fire ponds and dry hydrants are, the connections are the same. You know, well, the pond on Hopple Hill Road was, the dry hydrant was set up for engine 1. So in order for us to draft that as a particular pond with engine 3, you have to put your high pressure on. But engine 3 more likely wouldn't be drafted into that pond, it'd be engine 1 anyway. We're in the process of getting, that stuff worked out. Then most of the maintenance is just taking and, weed whacking around the edges and stuff like that.
Do you know whatever happened with one over here?
First I've heard of it, to be honest with you. I mean, and then there's ponds that are around that, there's one on Franklin Road that, isn't an easily accessible one, just the location.
I'm sorry, I
But then
didn't hear
there's
you.
2 more down on Franklin Road, skip all of them, put one in. And then at the bottom of the big hill, there's another little one there. So I mean, one's out, but a couple of decent ones.
Okay, so if we use money out of Dunkley Fire Fund this year, we can't name it, we can't change it at town meeting until next year. So we're in the fiscal year now, it's
Yes,
at the end of
that's right.
2012.
Yeah, that's what.
So, just, and then I don't know how much would be left. Any ballpark, Jeff, on how much that was?
So, I mean, it was, I think Todd needs a little more time to pick up the ball on that particular project. And, Dave got done,
Yeah.
and I don't know if it would, as it's presently constructed,
I may have to go.
would be adequate for, I mean, I don't know the depths, and I think it's certainly suitable for, in a pinch, but, so no, I don't really know.
I
off the
leave
top of my head.
early, I need to talk to him.
Never want to be
As soon as
compensated for
tomorrow.
it.
But you don't, you have a few minutes. Come down, whatever.
Okay, or I'll be at the office.
But either way, I think Todd needs a little more time to kind of pick up that project, and I don't really agree with just rolling $80,000 over, back into the,
Yeah, I don't think that's a good idea.
I don't think it is either,
General fund, 'cause we're gonna need it.
but changing the name. I think is a good idea. Mhm. I mean, yeah, it could be for like, you know, fire ponds, repair, replacement, and whatever. Do you know what I mean? A general thing.
I mean, sometimes it's not worth rolling money over if you have to figure out a way to be able to raise it every year, and you've got to keep the fire ponds in good condition, so.
But I do think that this training, we definitely asked for a change in the name. It could just be firefighter training, period. And we take out the 4 and the 2 here, or no, the 4 here. And yep, it'd be the 4 here. Leave the 2,000, rename it to travel reimbursement, correct? And then on the truck and repair, minus that down 5,000, because you have the 5,000. Next year, we'd have to put the 8,000 back, or whatever it may be. You know, but the line item will change. It'll still be truck repair and whatever. Repair and truck, I don't know. It just says truck repair and, so, but minus that down to $3,000, because we're going to use that 5,000 that we got for repair, painting, whatever of a vehicle, so it's same thing. And, but the line item will stay, and next year we'll have to come back with you know, maybe 8,000 or whatever, but this year we have the 8,000 total if we, it just won't be reflected on this line item because the 5,000's in over here, and, right. That sound acceptable?
Yeah, except for people are going to have to remember it following year if their budget goes back up to 8.
Right. Yep.
And that gets us in the $2,000 for the gas reimbursements.
Yep.
Okay. Are we happy?
Are you okay with that? I mean, I don't want to do anything you're not comfortable
Well, no,
with.
it makes sense to try and deplete some of these other areas.
Mhm. Especially that 5,000, because that needs to get used up, and that would be the place to use it, is in that truck repair.
And then the money stays in the fund to repair all of the, keep the fire ponds in good working condition, including the dumping one.
Right. And the fourth.
We really should stop calling it the dumping one.
Yeah, and the 4,000 comes out, so that makes that 0, because we have travel and training right here. And then the second, travel, training, and conference changes to travel and reimbursement.
Gas reimbursement.
Travel reimbursement.
Okay.
All right, and it stays at 2,000.
Yep.
Okay.
Now, I'm gonna have
That
to
we
leave
said
that training,
rescue.
travel, and conference rescue. We're gonna have to leave that one in.
I'm sorry.
The second one?
Oh, okay, well, then the one, the travel training one, okay, you know,
Well,
whichever one.
They have to stay in only because they've been in there.
You add a new line.
have to add.
Yeah, a new line, okay.
So
Yeah,
And it'll go to 0 for,
okay, so that'll be 0 too then.
just
All right.
goes to 0 for 2 years.
Yep. Okay,
Drops off.
and then we plus
Thank you.
2,000.
Any other questions, Todd?
Yeah, now that we really messed our own selves up, let alone him.
Just think, good thing you're on now. Wait till we're another hour more tired. You really confuse you.
Well, trust me, it'll look like your budget's way down for now.
Okay. Thank you both very much. And thank you again for all you do.
Yes, thank you.
All right, Phyllis, you're up.
You know how I feel about you.
Is
God bless
David
you.
doing budget too? Or you're not doing budget?
As far as I know, I'm all set.
Let's see if we can find you some money here.
Okay.
What's that EOC budget reserve?
that should go back. That's what it should, we should ask Annette about it. It's money that we had a long time ago when we didn't get all the money that we have. And we've got 2.5 years of RERP awards of $5,000 we haven't used. So I'm thinking that I think it's 13,540 something
Where's the monies that you're talking about, the reserved?
Page 21.
21.
Under designated fund balance.
Okay, thank you.
It was when we actually had a some budget. We didn't have a lot of other monies. But it's been probably 5 or 6 years, and we held it just in case, but it has not been used. So if Annette is approached and asked if she's okay with giving it back, I would think that would be something we should do.
Definitely. We should be giving back any money that hasn't been used in the past couple of years. It's sitting out there. Before we raise money, we should get rid of all of that stuff.
So that won't be money we raise, that'll go back and that'll help us with the bottom line.
Right. Okay.
What about grade adjustments? We're using them though, right?
We're not using grade adjustment money. I mean, I haven't budgeted for that because when we talked about it, it wasn't approved. So, I mean, the adjustments have been done, but it wasn't with grade adjustment money.
Okay. But would it not be?
So it's the same balance as last year?
It won't be unless you're gonna go do retroactive stuff.
No.
So then, should we try to wipe that out as well?
If you're not gonna have any grade adjustments that you foresee, I would say yes, you could do that.
But I don't understand, what do you mean? Grade adjustments, because shouldn't we have grade adjustments every year? I mean, because
The
don't
grade
people...
adjustment money was the
Retroactive.
one-time money.
Excuse me, say it again?
Was the one-time amount
Right.
years ago
Right.
when we did when Harry Snyder did the study?
Yes.
And there was a balance left over because not everyone was done at that time. And when other people were brought up, there was an argument not to use that money. But grade adjustments were done. My view was not that view, but that was the view of the board at the time.
Mhm.
And then this year when I came, we talked a little bit about the grade adjustment money was mentioned, and there wasn't, no one said anything for me to use it.
How
So
much is it?
the budgeted money,
$15,000.
$15,000.
Didn't some just get adjusted?
We
Yes.
adjusted people, but not with grade adjustment money, with new money
New
from the
revenue.
new budget.
From the new budget, I know, but I don't know why I didn't think of that, because I try to be like, pretty
Well,
proactive
if
with...
we do that, if we use grade adjustment money, then you're gonna have to use grade adjustment money for the adjustments that were done last year too. Because those were grade adjustments, but at the time,
yeah?
the board, and it was Mike Paul who felt that that money was used and that money was done and it should have gone right back.
I don't know, I think it should be used, I'm sorry, I do. I don't know why I didn't,
If you
maybe I
use
wasn't
it,
here, I don't know.
It's not going to be visible. You're
Mhm.
not going to see it in a budget because it's reserve money.
Mhm.
So when people are paid, the budget's gonna look lower than what people are actually getting because of the grade adjustment money.
Mhm.
So that's up to you, how you wanna do that.
Or we could just put it back to the general fund.
And then go
I
forward.
think go back to the general fund. I'm sorry that it wasn't used.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I felt it should have been.
Yeah,
For
I do
all the
too.
changes after that initial one, I
Yep.
felt it should be because that's really what it was for.
We should have used it for the grade adjustments last
This-
year.
Yeah, last year
It wasn't
and
last
this year.
It's kind of like,
Mhm.
okay, we're,
Yep. Yeah, I'm sorry that we didn't do that.
yeah, I think it would have made some good sense. but-
I do too.
Pretty adamant arguments against it last year.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that now, but I don't know why, because I don't normally bend.
So, I mean, if it exists,
Who laughed?
what was the argument not
Somebody's
to use it?
Oh.
The argument was that all the adjustments were done at the time in
I think
2010,
yeah, I
July of
remember that.
2010. What happened was when Harry Schneider was hired, he was hired to look at all of the grades. And I think I had done something up that sort of had an idea of what changes perhaps could be made, and we came to a dollar figure. So there was a dollar figure that was set aside.
So is it just kind of a cushion for
And,
changes?
well, yeah, for all the changes that were to take place. Then, most of the grade adjustments were done, some were not. That was my opinion. So, hence I came last year and this year but that money at the time when Mike fell was done. He did not feel it should be used. And then the grade adjustments were done.
Yeah, I'm sorry I went with that because I don't know why I did. But yeah, I think it should have come out of there. And if we're not going to use it, I agree with Patty.
The general fund.
Yep.
But in the minutes reading also here, I saw that there have been one or two rate adjustments made this year.
Yes.
So they're getting the adjustment now, right?
No, that's for the new year.
That's for the new
July.
Yep.
Wow.
So-
Well, then, if you have a grade
Well, there's no
adjustment-
money.
If you have a grade adjustment money,
I wasn't allowed to use it, Sandy. So the point is,
Yeah.
if we're gonna use grade adjustment money, it's gotta go back to grade adjustment, so that's 2010.
Mhm.
So if
There
we're
wouldn't
gonna
be
adjust
enough
those
money.
people backwards, yeah, I don't know, I'd have to figure that all out, because
Let's put it back to
there's
the
been
general fund.
several.
Yeah, wouldn't it be just easier now to just go
And I don't think it was it the intent of the board, because we were working on the budget, and salaries were being done for July 1st.
Yeah.
They weren't being done retroactively? Was it your impression that they were to be retroactive to 2010?
No.
I
Yeah,
just
I
thought
didn't
it was
think
as
so.
of
I didn't get that
last
impression
week.
from the
Yeah.
board.
No,
You're
I
just
don't.
talking about the two grade
Yeah.
adjustments that we
Right.
made.
Right, those weren't supposed to be going all the way back to 2 years.
To be honest with you, I never even really thought about it, but I don't think we'd have enough money now to do that
No, I thought
anyway,
it
so I
just
think we'd just start January,
Yeah,
July 1st.
Yeah, it was July 1st. That was my intent with the spreadsheet and
Mhm.
with the salaries, but
Mhm.
if you want to do something else, we could take a look at that. I don't know that 15,000 would cover, because we did 4 rate adjustments.
Yeah, let's just start July 1st.
Yeah, and also send that back to general fund.
General fund.
And then keep going forward.
Phyllis, you got any other goodies for us?
Do you have a view on that?
No, I think it should go back if you're not going to use it.
Yeah. Yep. And then, and what is the leader program?
That's our wellness
Oh,
program.
that's, yeah, okay.
That's the money that we earn from participating.
That's all I have questions on.
Phil, did you get all your?
I mean, brought it up, I'd go
You
look
want to
now,
keep
you
the
know.
firearm movements as a reserve still, and have it on, as a line item as in there to.
Yeah, and I think what will
Places.
happen is when we finally change that from Dunkley to whatever it will be combined at that time. Because we have the 2 different names,
We
and
have
that's
two
what makes
different-
it difficult.
And then we have it in the budget as well. There are 3 different places.
Right, when the budget isn't spent and they've asked for it to be carried over, that's where it went, to hold it in this reserve in case they needed it. The Dunkley one is different. Became named. It's been storage tanks, it's been
Yes.
everything, it's been fire pond maintenance, it's been storage tanks.
Why can't it just
it's
be,
been fire
Well, I think
why can't it be just simply fire pond?
And I think, you know what, they've got to figure out what they want to do and get it done, because it's crazy for that money to be sitting in a fund and not be used when we're raising taxpayers' dollars.
You have no
So-
idea how long we've been working with
I
the
know.
fire pond stuff.
I know, believe me, I
Years.
know.
Yep. Yep, me too.
Oh, you know what, Sally needs that. I
Yep.
will.
I
I'm
have
done.
some questions about the budget this year.
I'm sure you do.
For the rubbish removal, the talk tonight, are there changes to the budget as a result of that?
Well, that's actually going to have to be decided at town meeting, because we have 3 options. We have the transfer station, which isn't anywhere near as expensive as I thought it was going to be. We have the pay-as-you-throw, and we have the second recycling pickup. So they're going to work at putting together like a brochure kind of thing to explain to people what's going on with the survey, and sending it out to the public and getting people's ideas as to what they want. Then we're going to have a public forum. Then it's going to be voted on at town meeting.
So there'll be costs, we'll know that.
There will be costs. We will know what the costs are by town meeting, and it'll have to be in the article that way. I'm sorry, but, you know, I mean, we don't know how else to raise money for it, because we don't know what the townspeople want. And there's a huge difference between a transfer station and a pay-as-you-throw, so, you know, certainly they have to decide on that.
He went postal.
The other thing was, did anybody ever get in touch
No, he did.
with the school board about the rental? Because I'm the one that put the 3% in, and I have no idea
Oh,
if
yeah.
that's right or not. They haven't met at all.
Thought I recognized it, but
No,
I wasn't
they
sure.
did the last meeting, so they just signed warrants. So
Katrina's sick, so I don't really know. Obviously, you know that, she's not here. And I don't have my phone, or I would text Deb right now, because I think I have her cell phone.
I have my cell phone, but it doesn't have any service. I got the wrong cell phone company. Trust me. I'm moving.
They might want water.
They'll probably want to discuss it as a board. They're meeting on the 15th, I can tell you that. They changed their meeting from the 14th to the 15th.
It's been 3% for years though, right?
No, they've had it all different. I think last year might have been 4, one was, you know.
What was
So
that?
I don't dare to, I'm not making that judgment call.
Are you going to ask tonight? Can we do it in
It's so funny,
executive
I was just trying
session?
to put my phone on to text Deb. And, you know, of course, my Facebook app is on here, and then my Facebook was open. And once
Is it him or is
it shows all the messages that you're getting, you know, when you first turn your phone on. And Ian McCullen, because I made a comment the other day about how beautiful weather in Vermont, it was 11 degrees below zero during the night, and it's now 7. Ian made a comment about, I have a snow shovel and something else I didn't take time to read it, but something else I can send you.
That's fine. I didn't know if,
I know. I think I might have.
I don't care. I won't vote.
I did. I will send her a text right now and ask her to let us know. The right-
Percentage.
Not the way he acted toward me. But then again, I gotta know that I am.
Okay. What did we do before modern technology, huh?
Exactly.
So we can plug it into the budget. It's all done. Anything else? Phyllis, you find any more money for us?
Probably not this year.
Okay. Well, you did good.
That took care of quite a few of them anyway.
Anything else, Sally?
I don't have anything, but I know.
I finally, I finished up with Comcast this evening, and this is the latest and the greatest. This is,
I just love when you guys save us money.
You have one for all of us, right?
yeah.
Oh, here, oops. There's another handout for you.
And one for Katrina, too.
Now I've got a full set of all the transmittal letters and everything that will have to be signed. Basically, it's moving all of the local service from Fairpoint over to Comcast, except for the rec department. The rec department was kind of a problem because they have a phone that rings at the pool, which Comcast considers an outlying location, and it would cost actually more
For Katrina.
to have them put in a jump line and switch everything over. So we left them with Fairpoint.
I need one for Katrina.
Got right here for Katrina.
No, the other one.
The first one,
Yep.
did you give Katrina both of them?
No,
This one, me?
yeah.
I got way more than two.
Yeah, there you go. Because I forgot to pass one this way.
Another one
I wasn't
too
thinking
here
about it.
somewhere.
There you go.
Okay.
Thank you, Mary Lynn.
Sorry about that.
No, it's me.
So this essentially moves everybody over to Comcast. That probably actually saves more money than that for a couple of reasons. First of all, because Fairpoint isn't any of the long-distance services. That's Quest.
It's called CenturyLink now. It used to be Quest, and now the name has changed to CenturyLink.
So that will be removed. That will go away entirely, and any ancillary Wi-Fi services that you have will also be canceled. And that will be the bill. And plus, they will provide us with website services. I just found that out this evening. Yes, they will add that as well. What you're getting, this is a Comcast Business Services Premium Select service. So they will redo the website and start over from the beginning, and
Now, this
yes,
is the one,
I know, I was too. I was having the vapors.
so this,
Right?
this is this is just the 1 year, though? I mean, they're not going to carry it on, or
This
is this going to
contract
put
is
it
for
in?
36 months.
Wow. Wow.
That gives Janet time to renegotiate with them.
Yeah, and also gives Janet time to get her name off of this as contact person. I don't want to be responsible for the bills for the whole town.
Yeah. I think this is fantastic, and I think that we ought to do this. Everybody, all the new phone thing.
Patty, I just said this also includes website service
Okay.
in the contract, so that doesn't have to be paid for separately.
And it's for 36 months.
Wow. Thank you so much for doing all this.
Yes,
This is
it's awesome.
So if you want to go with this plan, the only thing that Comcast asks is that it gets e-signed tomorrow, or signed somehow tomorrow. So I guess you're the person who needs to sign it, is that right?
Yes.
She said she would walk you through it. You could do it at work on your computer.
Okay. Maybe we should vote to give the authority to e-sign to Sandy. She can do it right here from the town office.
Could do that too.
We can do that.
And they will call you tomorrow and walk
Well,
you
just
through
because
the
I don't
whole-
want to get busy and have it not get done.
Right, sure, I
That's my whole
understand.
thing. If they need it tomorrow, I know I have 3 meetings tomorrow, so.
Okay.
I don't want to get busy and not get it done.
Let's pray Sandy doesn't get busy. And
Right,
get done.
Sandy's not busy at work.
We'll stand, Mary Lynn and I will stand outside your door and not let anybody come in until you're done. But we had a question around this.
We did.
Right? Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Right now, all the phones are pretty much budgetary through departments. And I'm wondering, with this, if was the intention to get one line item as much as possible? Because we won't be able to
Yep.
with rec.
Right.
Because they are gonna have a separate bill, although we could code it in. We could code everything to the phone.
Yes.
So this 15,589.20 could be, I'd do 15,590.
Right.
But that could be one line item and take out all the phones and in the select board's budget, is that what we wanted?
Well,
Where do you take it?
why would it be the 1559 if it's supposed to be 12,000? Because Comcast is the 12,000, correct?
Right, that's right.
Right.
Yeah, you're looking at the left.
Look at the,
This is our budget now. This is what it's going to cost us.
This is right. Okay, so the 12,225.84 then.
Yeah, it would be, you
Right.
you
So we
would go
put
up
that
one.
in one line, yeah.
Yeah.
26.
Yes.
We're going to one line item in the board's budget.
So this covers all the
Yeah.
long distance and everything?
right?
Yes.
You want
Yes.
it in the select board's budget?
Yes.
General, I would think
General
Covers long
expenses.
distance plus Wi-Fi,
So that's what
plus
I will do.
now everybody has cable TV service too.
So do we make a motion to accept Comcast's proposal at $12,226? We take away all, move it into the general expenses under one line item called phone, and then give Sandy the authority to do the whatever
E-signing.
e-signing tomorrow.
Wow.
I'll second it.
Okay.
Been moved and seconded to take all of the phone budget items out of each department, put it all into one under general expense budget for in the select board's section of the budget, and the amount is $12,226, and also to give Sandy the authority to sign the e-contract tomorrow at the town office. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I think I did that.
That's a substantial savings. Thank you so much.
Question, will that reduce the library budget then as well?
Yeah.
Yes, because the library was a separate billing item, so it comes out of library.
Have you mentioned that to them yet, or?
No.
'Cause they've done their budget and they've appropriated
Only
eight
$600.
or $600. And they
They
dropped
cut
it, and I
theirs.
haven't talked to Chris
Right,
about
no.
it yet to find
They
out.
cut
No,
theirs.
actually, Comcast.
Well, now they can cut it right down to zero.
Right, Comcast
Right?
asked us not to mention it to anyone until after everything was finalized.
No.
Well, everybody knows now, because we just said it.
Right,
in
right,
public.
Do it about it.
Can't get more noticeable than this.
Yeah, I think library, I'll keep in library budget,
I think so too.
because I think it'd be too confusing.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So that would be,
But the bill will still come with all the Comcast bills. It'll all be one bill.
Right, it'll all be one bill.
So you have to delete it out of the library budget, and it's just part of the telephone bill.
Yep.
Well, we'll have a bill, right?
No,
We'll
it'll
have a
be,
number with.
It will be one
bill.
bill.
It'll be one, but the numbers should be listed.
We can ask for the
Right.
numbers to be listed if you'd like to do that.
I think it would be easier to just pay a bill without having to say, okay, all
it is.
of this number is this bill.
And
then
have to
we're
go
gonna-
back and reallocate
I think
everything.
it would be easier to
And
just
you guys
zero
are
out.
okay with the library not being, that's okay with
You know what? This is one building, let's make it one bill.
That's nice.
Well, we pay their electricity.
Right.
Oh, okay. So this way, there are two
Exactly
phone bills
right.
to be
It
paid.
is the town
Fairpoint
building.
for the rec department and Comcast for everything else.
Wonderful.
But
Okay.
but the money that they have on the line item for telephone has to be zeroed out because it's already in
Yes.
this Comcast contract.
Right.
Yep.
So we are paying it already through this, so if we keep it in their line item, then they're keeping an extra 6,000, 8,000, whatever
They'll
it
be,
is.
they'll be asking for more money than they need.
Right.
Yeah.
That needs to, yeah,
So that
come
needs
out
to
of
be
their
down
budget.
to zero. Yep.
And now, just one other question. Who becomes the contact person for all of this? Should it be
I think it's Janet Rasmussen, don't
I
you?
do too.
Yeah.
the computer genius?
How about us?
It'd be Sally.
Usually-
Yeah,
usually
it'd be
contact
Sally, the
person
treasurer.
Pays the bills,
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Sally.
Yep.
in any company.
All right, thank you.
Absolutely.
Good, that's done.
Wow, that would
Does
change
that
a
close
lot.
the budget?
I would like you all to really look at what you have very thoroughly, when you know, over the next 2 days.
Okay.
Let me know if you have questions. I will email you the new ones with the changes.
Oh, jeez.
And then just really take a good look at it and see if there's anything else. Phyllis and Carol will look at it for my reasons. I like just to go through and check all my numbers. So that has not been done yet, so I want to make sure that's done. And then they'll be ready. So I think that'll be perfect because we'll be ready when we're ready.
Yeah.
We've checked things.
I have a question on the recreation bill. It's just because I don't know.
Okay.
We kept sets 25 cents.
No,
No.
we changed
You
that to
weren't here.
10.
That's right.
That's right.
We changed it to 10. We negotiated.
Yeah.
So they got something, but it's not as much as it was. And it's not a huge amount in the budget, but it's perception.
Yep. Yep.
Okay.
Does anybody else have any other questions? And you made that adjustment in here before you did this, right?
I may have a few more adjustments to employee benefits as a whole, and I can reduce that.
I was just gonna say, if you're gonna have if you're gonna have any changes, could you make them changes
I
down,
will
not
try.
changes up?
I will try to, definitely.
And I think I've gotten all the information. I expected to be here a whole lot later tonight than this. I think I've gotten all the information to you guys that I needed to get. You've seen all of this, right?
Yeah.
And again, I'm waiting for the attorney on some of the information that we had asked.
Yeah,
for.
we had got something else too, yes. Yep.
Okay, we have nothing for new business. Our next.
Wait a minute, they do.
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Sheldon Shippey resigned from
Oh,
the
gosh.
Finance Committee. And we were sorry for that.
Very sorry for that. He's
Yeah.
going to be a huge loss to
He
the
is,
town.
absolutely. But I told him I'm
Sorry to hear.
still going to call on him. so.
I did too.
So We would like for you to appoint, if you would, David Platt to take his place.
It's been moved and seconded to appoint David Platt to take Sheldon Chippy's place on the Finance Committee. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed?
Nay.
Okay, motion carries. Next select board meeting is Monday, January 21st. We're not ready to adjourn yet because Phyllis wants to have about a 10-minute executive session meeting. But before we do that, Mike, do you have any questions so you don't have to hang around waiting?
That's very nice of you, thank you.
You're very welcome.
I did have really two quick questions.
Okay.
Both pertaining to the trash discussion. Did I understand it correctly at the end there that there's a fund with money in it that could fund some of these changes? For instance, the transfer station, there was something like $280,000 in it. And that's called a trash, it was a solid waste?
Solid waste?
Solid waste.
Yeah, solid waste fund.
So does that mean that whatever change is made, especially if it's, say, the transfer station with $30,000 or $40,000 that you need to sink in with it,
We could take it out of that fund and not have to raise it through taxes.
does that require some sort of change at the town meeting?
Yes, it would, anything we do, because it's a change in how we're doing business, would take a vote at the town meeting. That's why we're gonna have a public forum. We're gonna explain the law to people through a brochure, send out a questionnaire, tell them, these are our options. What is your priority? And, kind of do a survey kind of thing, but we'll also have a public forum to educate people into the issue. And at town meeting, we will be voting on what the taxpayers want to do as far as, an answer to the law for the trash pickup. Whether they want to go to a second recycling pickup, have a transfer station, or pay as you throw. Those really are our three options.
And was my other question, because the fourth thing that was mentioned here tonight was just the town could just wash its hands of garbage altogether. I guess similar to something like Guilford does. Is that an option? Is that something you're going to offer to?
I don't know.
I mean, I guess we can tell
wanna look at
taxpayers that is an option, but I don't really see it being a valid option. I think people in town are gonna wanna have some kind of an answer as to, because it really would be a real disadvantage to people who just can't afford to hire their own. So it'll be discussion, that'll be had, but I'm not real sure that that's even gonna be put on the table, because I don't think it's really feasible.
And I wonder if I could get a copy of what he submitted to the board here tonight so that I could have it black and white in front of me.
You want to stop in tomorrow?
Yeah, that's what,
See you in the
Can we
morning.
do that?
Sandy's got it, because that was the only copy we had, so she'll photocopy and put it in all of our mailboxes, but save one for you also.
Is there a good time, Dave? Sandy?
Anytime after 7.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
And she will have it done anytime after 7,
All right.
if we know Sandy, so.
We just have
Thank you very
one other
much.
thing, Mike. Just
Yeah, just have one other question. I don't know if you want to discuss or not discuss, so I thought I would ask. With recent letters to the editor in the paper, if you wanted to discuss any capital plan procedures or things pertaining to the capital plan.
I didn't see anything. I don't get the paper, so.
There's been a couple
Okay.
letters to the editor. There was one from Mr. Fairman, basically saying that we're not following the wishes of the voters at town meeting because we didn't buy another cruiser. And then there was one by the police chief. And I can't remember verbatim what her letter was, but it was basically putting she said there is maintenance records on the cars, that the mechanics keep maintenance records, and the mechanics are very good mechanics. And she understands that we have a fiduciary responsibility to the town, but safety has to be first priority, and that the town people voted to replace the cars. But that's the biggest misconception. Town people have not voted to replace those cars.
No, what they voted was to have a third vehicle, to
Right.
keep the third vehicle. That's what they voted on. And I wouldn't go against it, because I'm getting to a point where that car probably does need to be replaced, and I think that we need to consider
Well,
that soon.
I think what's
But-
going to happen is the Dodge Dart, or I keep calling it a
The
Dodge
other one,
Dart.
yeah.
The Dodge is going to have to be replaced before the Crown Vic because the
Exactly.
transmission's going on that.
Right,
So we've
right.
had all
So-
of this argument over a car that's going to be replaced second after all of this.
Yeah,
And Mr. Fairman's letter was pretty much a restatement of...
Do you have it?
Of those...
You have them both?
Mr. Fairman's letter was pretty much a restatement of what he said at town meeting that day. And I think there were both some inconsistencies in there. It wasn't that the town did not vote that, they voted to keep three cruisers.
And then they voted
Yeah,
to
but-
approve the capital
Capital
plan,
plan.
which in approving the capital plan, we do not purchase a new car for another year.
Right,
So-
and it says, on the policy, the Vernon policy that was adopted in 2001 clearly outlines the procedures for purchasing something. And I think my whole thing is that there's rules and procedures and policies, or whatever you want to call them, that are in place, and those need to be followed.
Right.
Why are, I don't understand why people are saying that we gave our authority to the finance committee. We did not. What we did was.
We told them to go back to the
Go back
finance
to the
committee.
finance committee and have the finance committee come up to us. Because as a matter of fact, we were in agreement, and so I don't understand where that.
Well,
So
and
I just-
this board.
Because they do have no authority.
Right.
They have
Right.
authority to come to us. We ask them to do a job. They go, they research it,
Right.
and because we say no or
And
yes,
it's out-
it doesn't
that's-
mean that we have to agree with
And
them.
it's outlined in a policy.
No, but we did say in the very beginning that we were going to respect the work, the
Yes.
hard work of every single employee and every single volunteer committee member in this town. And if they did the work on whatever subject, we were going to hear them out. And that's what we did. And when we heard them out, we agreed that the vote was to approve the capital plan, which doesn't buy us another car until next year. And the other vote was to go back
If
to
it meets the
3 cars.
requirements, but-
And that was all dependent on the new capital plan that pushed the buying of a car another year. So you
They-
can't have your cake and eat it too.
Right. The other subject, the other issue I think that was in there is, it's been said that the finance committee has met for a decade in private. And I know there was an issue with submitting minutes. The finance committee hasn't met for a decade. There was a finance committee, and then there wasn't one, and then we started again, as the members now started again. We've had 2 clerks. I thought they were turning in minutes. The last clerk has been asked, I've asked numerous times. Sandy has asked her, and she said, "Oh, I'll get them there by this certain time." That hasn't been done.
We
And
did, however,
I've been-
re-ratify everything.
We ratified
in
everything that we could think
minutes
that we
that
have done. We've ratified them.
filed.
I've done minutes and turned those in, so minutes have been current, but I can't make someone do something if they're not going to do
I have a
it.
question on that. If minutes are not done, who's responsible?
And it's not just the finance committee.
No, it's not just the finance committee.
No, I believe that, I'm sorry, and I hate to say this because it may get others in trouble, but I think that it is it's responsibility of the committee to say whoever they have as a secretary, because you can ask Janet, I hopped right onto her when she didn't get those minutes in. You can ask her, and that's who I am. I don't do it to be hateful, but the law's the law, and that's it, and I'm very strong and adamant about the law.
The law is the law,
following
yes,
law.
but the law also, or the people in Montpelier also realize that we're dealing in many of these boards with volunteer people.
I know, but the law says 5 days.
And it does say 5 days, but they understand that there are situations where the wrong person gets appointed as clerk. And
Very true.
it's not like we can fire, well, we can say we don't want you to be our clerk anymore, but we're not paying these people to come in and do a
Right.
job.
Right.
There's a limit to what we can do as a
And
repercussion.
wait a
for
minute.
not
I mean,
doing
the
it.
person
We
know
have
that was
floaters,
the
and we
clerk-
have floaters money for secretaries.
Right, but the person that was a clerk, I know she took notes. I know she has notes.
Well, Right, but the thing is what my point is, not to be against anybody. My point is the law says 5 days, and that's what we need to stick by. However, it does say that that it comes in as a draft, it hasn't been accepted yet. So, and that's what should be written on it, as a draft.
Right.
But they should be turned in 5 days.
And everybody makes mistakes. You're dealing with human beings all
Hey.
the time.
And we're not the only town that has had this issue to deal with.
No, I'm sure.
Either, believe
And I'm
me.
just curious, because there is a fine.
Yes,
So,
$500.
if someone decided to push it, are we as the board
Who's responsible?
responsible for all the committees?
Well, the town would have to pay the fine. You know, I mean, the person themselves wouldn't pay the fine, the town would have to pay it. So I guess in effect, then, you know, we are the town
Let things fail.
fathers right now, and mothers.
But then what, if we say the town's going to pay it, never mind, we're just going to pay it. Well, then what?
I don't think that's what's happening here, Chris. I don't think anybody has ever excused the fact that it's not being done. What I'm saying is, we're dealing with volunteer people. None of us can be knocking on the door of everybody's house
No,
and
true.
say, get your minutes in. It happened once, and it's all it needed for a person to complain and issue a complaint to the state. It's over and done with, and we're moving on from
Yeah.
there. You know?
I mean, the town will ultimately pay
One person is
it,
going to
yes,
continuously write
but-
letters to the editor. There's nothing we can do about it.
I know, they have
The
every
town
right
has
to
not-
write them.
The town has not done anything wrong. The people that volunteer for this town work very, very hard for very little credit and
Trust me.
absolutely no money.
I know.
So I am not going to get stuck on a letter that went to the editor by somebody who doesn't spend an ounce of time helping the town,
Amen.
but only
I
hurting the
agree.
town. I am going to spend my time and effort on people who work hard to make this town a better place to live.
My only point is that the committee, now we're starting new, and it was, all got lost, and that's over and done and over with. But to start anew, it's up to the committee to tell their chair, their clerk or whatever.
The select board has sent around a letter to all of the committee chairs reminding them of the law and asking them to make sure that whoever the clerk of the committee is writing minutes and getting the minutes out in a proper, orderly time, that the meetings are being warned in a proper way, and if they needed help, we could get them the help they need, and all of the committees have gotten those letters. So we've done everything within our power. I am not going to, I as the chair, I'm not going to be beating up on people who are volunteering their time. Somebody took notes, the computer crashed, the notes, the minutes
Turn in
didn't
the
get-
notes.
Things happen. Things happen, I mean, we all know computers today. Look at what you were talking with Nimrick's
Turn in the
computer.
notes, it doesn't have to be a computer.
Right, but but it
But,
happened, and it's over and done with, and we move on.
Okay.
This town's a much better place than that, and I'm not gonna get involved in the pettiness. Everything we've done right, we've done above the board. The vote last year at town meeting was very clear, and for department heads to be making statements that they have maintenance records because the mechanics are keeping the record at the shop is not a maintenance record. A maintenance record is in here, in the departments. It's a whole list of, this is being done, at this amount of miles, this is what needs to be done. So any department head can look at that maintenance record and say, oh, okay, the car's got just about this many miles on, it's due for a checkup. It is not up to somebody mechanic who is repairing the car to be making phone calls to the police, to any department in this town and saying, it's time to get your oil changed. I have a car, my husband has a car. No one has ever called us up and said, it's time for your oil change.
No.
I do get every 6 months a postcard from my dentist reminding me about my cleaning, but I have never gotten a notice reminding me about my oil change. That is not a maintenance record.
No, it's not a maintenance schedule.
Sorry.
And I have an email that says.
End of
they do
discussion.
not.
I don't want to hear this anymore.
Yep.
That was the vote at town meeting. That's all there is to it. I am not getting involved in this pettiness. We are way too good a town for this stuff. Does anybody have any questions?
Who dares?
I'm done.
I second that.
Good Lord.
Here.
I got a whole bunch of them. I got a bunch of them, but who dares? I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
I will call you in the morning and whatever time works for you. We'll just walk through this on the phone, okay? Thanks.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for that job.
We should
For
only
the
be about 10
Comcast.
minutes.
Okay.
We're going in executive session? What are we doing?
I am asking.
Oh, sorry about that.
Oh,
I don't know how to put that board up or anything.
I know how to put the board up. I just don't know how to shut everything
Oh,
down.
well, I know how to do that. And, when we're coming out, we're gonna be adjourned, right, so I'm gonna start.